I fancy Hall might be a bigger influence tonight than Franklin, because I think Hall v Gillam fancies Hall. Lake has had a good record on Franklin just recently.
To the coin toss.
Kathy's Brad Johnson. This is Kathy. And Kathy, this is Sam Mitchell. Kathy, Sam all the best. Yep. Okay, Sam, you tails. Yep. Tails, cool. As it is.
So the Hawks, after some consultation, go to the right of screen. We know where we're going, straight down to Tim Watson on the boundary line. Tim, bit of a fallout from last Friday night here, wasn't there?
Well, there's no doubt about that. It's been enormous. We've been talking about that all week, in particular Stephen Baker's suspension, but also the umpires were under the pump too after that game last Friday night about their inactivity. Now, we saw them last night at Etihad Stadium, and the number of penalties, 10 50-metre penalties, were paid last night between Carlton and Lions. So while some of them might have been minor infringements, the umpires were clearly sending a message to everybody last night that the small things weren't going to be tolerated.
Tim Watson back from the Italian restaurant, stole the tablecloth. We're set to go then, Friday night football. Opening bounce. The umpires tonight, Vozo, McBurney and Farmer. McBurney with the opening bounce. No, the ruckman touched it really. It struck Hudson on the way down. Renoff got a backhander to it, taken by Mitchell. Cooney in trouble. Rioli, ditto. Tries to go to Renoff. In goes Hahn.
Bulldogs free kick.
Hahn gets the free kick. He was taken high. Plays on immediately. Griffin alongside the centre circles. Long telling kick inside the forward 50. Gian Siracusa runs behind. Chance for Grant. Tried to soccer it. Sliding in and taken across the line by Murphy.
Just on the matchups, we heard Rockety talking about picking. He's actually picking up Osborne on the half-forward flank. Still Rioli starting on the wing.
Didn't read his lips too well, did I? Thought it might have been Cyril, but Osborne's been in great goal-kicking form of late. Rioli trying to fetch this with Bateman. Bateman and Harbrow, and now Hodge went to ground and then belted it back out. Schoenmakers in the back half. Little give, and then Stratton got it outside the 50. Dogs with numbers. Awkward bounce here is picking the man in question. Had to bang it back without really looking. Free kick. So Guerra wins it and Bateman takes the advantage. Careful little kick inside to Skipper against his old team. And here's Buddy. Not quite the long run yet. Kicks poorly really, and Boyd gets back. Rioli was the target. Boyd did well.
Some hesitation in midfield. Eventually, Boyd got it from Reed. Now Griffin, outer side wing, goes down towards half forward. That's ill-directed to Stratton. Emerging player. We spoke about him before the game. Goes out wide. Birchall. Franklin offers the lead. Juggles it too. Not sure about Lake just hanging back. See how that works. Don't want him getting touches, getting the appetite. Mitchell bangs it down towards the 50. Good move to have Lake staying back. He takes the mark on his chest.
You were a successful coach, I know, Dennis, in WA, so you've got a reputation.
Degrees of success, Bruce.
Buddy again. Rioli. Well, 25 was the magic number. Rioli's kick's a beauty. There's Osborne, lovely stretch on to Ruffy. Well, not 15, so Ruffhead has to go on and couldn't quite. Cooney got it, and then Hudson to Cooney and heavy traffic to Boyd. Good sidestep, Morris. Handball not quite so good. Picking to Morris, close up, okay. And then Griffin and then Cooney. Cooney had no one really to kick to. Courageous mark. Stratton did well.
That is 15.
Birchall.
So sad.
Heard the ump. Skipper. And now Bateman off one step in the end. Renoff. Oh.
He's dropped it. Jack, mark it down. Oh. I paid him up. I paid him up. I paid him up. I paid him up. Mark's there.
I think the ball bounced, but I would have been inclined to pay the free kick.
Don't think any of the upfield umpires were going to get involved in that one.
Not sure what odds Renoff was to kick the first goal in the match. He's got it from an unlikely source.
It's the way they set up, and I think the Franklin getting upfield late going back. I mean, it'll be to make sure that there is always someone that the upfield player has to get past, and I think that'll be the Bulldogs' tactic against Franklin and the Hawthorn attack.
I really like it when Suriol is kicking the ball long into Franklin. It just sort of gives them real structure and chemistry for the Hawks. They're not getting that at the moment.
Well, as it turns out, no mark. Blindsided, umpire Luke Farmer. But he's been in stellar form and obviously thought highly of. He moved to Victoria to live, West Australian, as the ball goes down towards half forward. Hahn, cross, drives it inside the forward 50, waiting behind Higgins. Well, again, we see that situation. Players sucked up the ground. Higgins simply minding his own business. The drive-by mark, just hanging back there, fell in his arms.
It's interesting. There's a whole lot of different methods of, I guess, attacking, defending. But either way, the score, 12 or 13 goals a game's been the average for about a decade. But it kicks over the back because defenders want to take the front spot. That happens a lot.
Normally a dead-eye Dick from set shots. Sean Higgins back in the team tonight. Relishes his start. Slots it. Goal apiece.
There are some players, I think, Lee, that we talk about setting up structures and defenders wanting to get in front of their forwards. There are some players you probably should pay closer attention to, and Sean Higgins is certainly one of those. He's that mid-range small forward, if you like, that has the ability to take a mark. They're in vogue at the moment in the AFL, and he's a very dangerous player, and you don't want to give him confidence pills early, I wouldn't have thought.
And this was the long kick forward. We'll see Murphy was taking the front position, but it was just the scrappy long kick. And maybe it's a game of percentages. If you actually cover the front, you're going to get rewarded more often than you get penalised.
It was an interesting choice of kick by Cross too. He went the top. Well, it was almost a flat punt for that extra distance. Seeing Higgins there, probably didn't think he could get all the way with a drop punt. Here's Hodge through the centre to half forward. Roughhead very wide. He kicked 4 against the Dogs in round 3. He's had a funny season, Ruff. He's kicked 28. He's had 6 against the Eagles. He has a good sight, Hodge, on the burst. 6 against the Eagles, 4 against the Dogs. He's had some quiet days. Well done by Cross. Cooney gets away from Buddy. Lovely kick. And then Gilby spears it to his captain. So Guerra and Johnson. And Guerra will be happy enough for the ball to go over the line.
Great to see Brad Johnson back. Boundary throw-in, early going. First term, Friday night football. Plenty of rain in Melbourne today, but not since the game has started. Hodge kicks beyond the wing. Roughhead works in front. Morris over the top. Brilliantly gathered by Murphy at full tilt. Pushing up the ground is Lake, goes towards the outer side. Clever kick. Boyd pulls it back towards the middle. Ill-directed. Schoenmakers dropped it. Almost a free kick to Johnson. Guerra gets a hand pass to Stratton. Very good early. Now Hodge has got it. Gives it across towards Mitchell. Mitchell to Schoenmakers. They've got the numbers streaming down the ground. I think Skipper was busy counting them.
Give it up.
He's been penalised.
And that's what Picken brings to the table, doesn't he? Is that just junkyard dog, defensive work all over. Doesn't matter the size of the opponent, an effective tackle on Skipper.
142 getting the better of another. So Lake doesn't quite get Morris. Morris did a good job. And then pushed it forward. Johnson and Guerra and Renouf making a charge, and Johnson building it forward.
I know we're going to talk about a lot tonight, the various matchups, particularly the Franklin-Lake one. Well, because Lake does well on Franklin in the contest, there's a temptation for Buddy just to get up in the midfield to try and get stats.
Yep.
But the important stats are the ones 50 or inside 50-60.
Now Boyd. Little one forward over the top of Stratton.
Minson tracks it towards the boundary, doesn't stay in.
Most players you'd say inside 50, but Buddy could be inside 60. That's when you say his length of kicking.
Been watching the World Cup, Jono.
He sat in your seat this time last week, Dennis. He kept us company. He sat the whole match in your seat.
He was good too.
Did anyone threaten to throw him out, Bruce? There's the kick down towards the pocket. No, it was the resounding answer. Guerra, Mitchell from half-back, high ball towards the wing. Oh, brilliant! Lance Franklin.
Do you think he knows when you're calling, Dennis?
Hope so. Here's Young. He makes it easy. Drives it inside the forward 50. Interference behind, going against Morris, and penalty's called.
Straight at him. Took him. He couldn't contest the ball. You went straight at him. Took his run. Right, you were 2 metres from it. No way. Thank you.
This will be interesting to watch again. Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
This matchup's going to be really intriguing. We spoke about Buddy getting his ball up across the wing and obviously Lake across back. Provokes confidence, and both players had plenty of the ball, but the damage is done in the forward 50.
So Roughhead, 40 metres out, splits the middle. Nice goal, and the right decision that time.
He got pinged, and we knew exactly what he was trying to do. He was trying just to protect Lake's jump at the footy, but I thought he was a little bit unlucky. I mean, he basically backed in, he had his hands up forward, so one of those line ball decisions that has gone the forwards' way.
Yeah, I think his technique was pretty good. I think he changed his vision, his line of sight just at the end to make it look like he was going for the ball, but obviously his intent there was to put the Blake on for Brian Lake.
Well, Ruffy and Buddy go hand in hand, don't they? They've done that a lot. That is a remarkable mark, and then Roughhead's goal. So the Hawks lead it by 1 goal, that is. Roughhead has been astray in front of goal.
Play on, play on.
So Griffin with the ball. So Yours kicks it forward. Mark taken by Gillum.
Stay out, Barry.
Haven't really seen Barry Hall, have we? I mean, hasn't had a contest yet. Here's Mitchell in the back half, and then lovely kick. Such a good two-sided player, isn't he? Here's Ellis, important player for them. Bateman running very hard, taking them on. Okay, Roughhead, back to Ellis. Lovely kick inside. Lewis, and then Lewis hooks it back. Good kick, actually. Mustard not quite. Young couldn't. Well done by Ward. Battle with Murphy. They take him down. Again, a good challenge there. Picking in hard. He's got some mates. Mustard as well. High tackle on Mustard. Rioli can't quite. And then Cyril. Oh, never. Almost. Maybe.
Okay, guys. Okay, that's it now. Footy only.
And Pickett shaping up there to Franklin. Boundary throw in. About 25 metres around from the behind post. Hudson works in front. Bounced on the head of Skipper, taken by Hodge. Read the bounce pretty well and kicks a goal. How about that?
That was a terrific piece of willpower by Hodge. Griffin had the contact. He got the slight block, but Griffin followed him through. But he just, in the congestion, he just forced himself to where the ball was, despite the fact he had to get through 3 or 4 bodies.
A great block there by Cyril Rioli. He knows his way around a contested situation, whether he's getting his hands on the ball. But just a subtle block gave Hodge the space off Griffin, and Luke Hodge can always get the job done.
You might have known Luke Hodge was going to be in a dangerous mood coming into this game. He was well held in the last game they played. May have had a bit of a knee injury, but already he's had 4 touches, 3 clearances, and that goal. Some
great footage there of Cyril Rioli and his work in and around the contest. He can get his hands on the ball, but just put the subtle block on Griffin and got Hodge free.
Hodge again after Mitchell did brilliantly. So Hodge got it to Lewis. 3 of their gun midfielders working together. Roughhead and Morris, Picken, and now Burgoyne. Still with Burgoyne. Normally very skillful. It's a lovely kick, isn't it? Oh, well done. Brilliant by Murphy. And Mustin goes to ground. He's got the job on Murphy like he had on Fletcher last week. Ball comes out the back. Down low, Mitchell. Murphy. Hodge again. Caught up. Didn't panic.
360. Too long. 360. Yeah. Spun your right around. 360.
Well, has that always been a rule? A 360 spin equates to holding the ball?
I've never heard it before.
Not every 360 spin, just the occasional 360 spin.
That was clearly the definition was given then.
Is that the Johnny Weir rule? The D is silent. There goes the kick towards the outer side from Griffin. Runs free at the back. Leading back in the race out there is Hodge. Squeezes the kick, trying to get along the boundary line, but floats out of bounds.
Adam Cooney. Demi.
Imposing himself early,
Adam Cooney's free.
as are the Hawks. Terrific start.
Yep. Hold there,
Young
Sam.
Reid waiting to come on,
Move it in, Adam.
getting his chance in the big time. There goes the kick from Cooney. Oh, big leap by Minson. A lot of humanity getting in the air right there, lays it off. Harbrow finds a way through, kicks towards the pocket, honours the lead from Gian Siracusa. But it's quite greasy, this turf, and that ball just skids away from the Bulldogs forward. And that's as pure as it gets. In the hands, one grab, they were there, and they came in vice-like.
Buddy off the ground. He doesn't spend much time on the bench. Plays close to 100% of the matches. And here's Higgins. He's touched. And then Stratton and Gian Siracusa.
You go, Jack.
There's Muston trying to take the Murphy matchup. Bruce alluded to it about a minute ago, as he did Muston on Fletcher a few weeks ago.
I think it looks early days. The Hawks have done their homework, not only on Murphy, but the whole Bulldogs back six. They're spreading them quite distinctly at the moment.
Well, Tim Watson mentioned Hodge and the impact he's having in this opening turn. And for not the first time, he goes to Mitchell with a handball. And then Mitchell Osborne worked underneath it. That's good play by Harbrow. It's a lovely mark.
To the middle, Johnson concedes a little ground. Ward. Now Murphy looks inside the forward 50, sets it up. Can he do it again, Minnow? Well, not quite. Didn't launch himself off hands. Grant, open goal.
All clear, Stone.
6 points the difference.
It's a really interesting build-up that by the Western Bulldogs. Bo Muston's doing the job on Robert Murphy as a defensive forward. Caught between two minds as to cover Murphy and Hargrave. Went to Hargrave. Murphy ended up on the end of it, and we know how damaging he can be delivering the ball into the forward 50.
And I guess getting the handball wasn't to Murphy in the middle of the ground, the one who can make a good decision. Where do I go with the footy? That's, it looks like, is that Reid? I think
yeah.
that might have done a shoulder, hurt a shoulder.
Really enjoy watching Rob Murphy. He's a fantastic player, great decision maker. Last couple of weeks as he's been shifted to the back line of the Western Bulldogs, been very damaging. But this is probably the big story of the moment.
Yeah, Sam Reid, first game for this year. Played 4 games last year, 3 of them very late in the season. Could be a shoulder, not sure. Tim will be onto it. Mitchell in the background. Oh, no. Play on. Gee, Grant's quick, isn't he? I mean, you're not going to catch him like a moment ago. It was a clever goal in the end. Kept it down low.
Fine. Didn't take it.
It's his first game against the Hawks.
Fell to your side, okay, mate? Wasn't in the back.
It's an emerging forward, I reckon,
Thanks,
don't you?
Chance,
Yeah.
He's going well. He was an early draft choice a few years ago, starting to strengthen up.
Scott Clayton was very bullish about him when he took it, spent an early pick on him, and was convinced he was going to be a good player, and obviously playing the way he's expected to now.
Hudson and then Cooney running onto it with Saul. Cooney to Boyd. Can he give back? No, he couldn't quite get it back. The ball will be thrown in, right half forward. So good standard of footy. Is a terrific start. 5 goals scored early in this match. Healthy enough crowd on a cold but no rain at the moment night. Friday night footy at the G.
5 individual goal scorers in the game so far. Griffin goes after the football, taken down, out of the congestion. Rioli boots it close to the boundary line. It skids across once more. Midway point of the term. Hawthorn, 2 of their goals from free kicks. Alistair Clarkson down on the boundary. There's only won 2 of 8 against Rocket Eade. Hudson clean possession. Just scuffed it with his boot. Boyd was going to get a free kick. Kick forward by Hudson. Hall was up, didn't touch the footy. Runs free at the back. Harbrow fitted out. Cross goes back to Grant. Now an opportunity 55 metres out for the Dogs. 3 on 2. Brilliantly done by Schoenmakers to Osborne. He threw the ball. Now advantage is paid. Dogs have got it. Cross 60 metres from goal. Harbrow. Needle eye opening. Couldn't get through. Hand pass comes from Cross. Gilby backs off. Terrific by Hodge. Lurching in front of Harbrow. Loose ball on the wing. Brilliant pick up by Gilby. Gilby a punishing kick. Inside the forward 50. Hall at the back. Outnumbered 4 on 1. Rioli. Guerra. Sweeping hand pass to the pocket. taken by Mitchell. Checks, he was going to go long and spotted Sewell. Sewell to Lewis, and Franklin's on the move. Franklin should have got the football. Lewis a little slow to release. Now he has to reassess it.
Gee, Hodge, not one but two magnificent efforts. The tackle and then the smother across Rioli, back to Birchall, and then Birchall going long. Oh, courage shown by a couple of players, including Young and also Morris. Murphy back. Looks like he's in good nick, Murphy, doesn't he? Yep. He's gone to the back half in the last couple of weeks and he's played very well. Grant from Lake. Just feel like both teams are up, don't you?
Yeah.
They've come out. Last night you felt both Carlton and Brisbane were a bit flat. These two teams you feel like they're up on their toes. Lake to Gilby, inside to Ward. Ward, not a great handball. Boyd will have to look for it. Now Gilby, clever enough kick. Hall's good with the snap. Can he get enough on it? It'll bounce. He's got it. Well done, Barry. Hardly misses those.
He's a big, powerful man, but he is a good at ground level. When he gets a chance to kick the ball across his body, he can normally. Both sides look like they've got their full complement of speed out there.
Yeah.
I mean, Hawthorn certainly have for the first time. They've got Bateman and Young and Bateman all out there at the Alice, all players like that. But so the Bulldogs. This is a good game.
It's been Barry. He's been a big story all year. I've been really impressed with his agility work at ground level. For a year off, fantastic.
And is it my imagination, or has Barry's snap shooting really improved this season? 9 goals, 3 from snapshots, and most of them are gilt edge. This one bounces through the middle. Starting the night, 41 goals, 17 games against Hawthorn. He's up to 42 now. Boyd has been very busy. To Ward, kicks inside the forward 50. Here he is again. This time, we'll see him with the set shot.
And Lee spoke about the Hall-Gillum matchup, but that's the one real strong advantage the Western Bulldogs would have looked at the matchups and thought, yeah, we've got an upper hand here.
Win it out of the centre. Nice kick to space. Hall comes up and takes the mark. Kicking at his second goal right here. If he gets it, at least in the short term, well, it doesn't matter. I was going to say he would join Jack Revolt at the top of the AFL goal-kicking list. As it is, he puts it out of bounds on the full. 18 points apiece, and that's fair value at the moment.
It's a great contest.
Seen a few of them, haven't we, in the opening term? Here's Ellis.
Fine there, Ryan.
Saw a sickening one the last time, these two players.
Clear out.
So Ellis at half-back. Going to get down to Tim in a minute. Kicks to centre wing. Franklin, oh, Lake, too good.
Great contest.
Fine there, Lake.
That's bragging rights when you do that, isn't it? Now to Higgins. That's a nice kick to Johnson in the centre. And then Johnson low, out wide. Harbrow couldn't quite half volley it. Showing makers. Little gift to Marston. Rioli, you'd think it's in good hands now. Franklin wants it deep and long. Can he outmark Hargrave? Works him, still works him, but he keeps his head down. Minson didn't give the free away. Bulldogs did really well. Minson gets it from Johnson.
Minson drives to the outer side, marked out there by Harbrow. I would imagine Rodney very happy with that last result. Wouldn't want to see Hargrave necessarily isolated on Franklin, but he did a fine job with some help. Lake to the opposite pocket. Higgins. Higgins comes along our broadcast side, and it's marked there by Murphy. Northern side of the ground. He's at left half back. 18 apiece, 5 minutes to go till quarter time. Huge game for both these clubs. Last 2 seasons, the Dogs have won 16 games. If they lose tonight, almost impossible to repeat that. Here's Cooney. Just pops it outside the 50, taken by Boyd. Boyd goes short, intended for cross. Sewell just hanging off him, takes the mark. Boyd up to 11 possessions. The last of them, though, not one of his best. Here's Young inside the 50, and the late inclusion. Peterson takes the mark about 45 metres out, in for the injured Ladson.
That was a classic case where Hargraves was trying to take 2 opponents. He was trying to cover Roughhead and he was trying to cover Peterson because Lake was hanging back just to make sure we see it in the foreground here. That was 2 forwards against 1 defender. Got no hope of the defender there.
So Peterson any score for the lead. Interesting. Little flex as he comes in, and he tugs it to the left and also short, close to the boundary line. Gilby gets it away. Now they can run it up the ground. This is Wood. Runs towards the 50. Not a good kick though. Terrible. Burgoyne.
On there, Jono.
So Burgoyne goes laterally to Rioli and then to Lewis.
Yeah, Max, fine
So
there,
this
Joe.
patient build-up. We saw a lot of this with Hawthorn in that premiership year where their kicking was a feature, and there you go. Lewis missing the lot.
Lindsay Gilbey's
Down to you,
kick
Tim.
right
Well, Sam
down
Reid's still downstairs in the medical room. The problem is his left AC joint. They're jabbing it at the moment. He's just doing a warm-up on the boundary line now, so he should be back on the ground soon.
Close to the boundary line. Schoenmakers knocks it across. We'll have a boundary throw in.
That was going to be interesting. We saw an example there where the Bulldogs defenders have got to be prepared to swap opponents, but sometimes in the swap, my Hawthorn forward just might bob up in their forward 50 on their own every now and again.
Some good news there for Sam Reid and the Dogs. Sam Reid, who came off with what appeared to be a shoulder injury, and certainly feeling the pain as he came through the interchange gates. Now limbering up to come back on.
He might not be sore right now. He'll be sore tomorrow morning, I'll tell you that.
Looks a fair size, Sam Reid, doesn't he, for a young boy?
Umpire McBurney with the bounce. Outer side logo. No one touched the foot. He falls down behind. Ward slaps it out, was pushed in the back, and he'll get the free kick. 3 minutes out from quarter time.
Yeah, but fell on his back.
Ward, quality player. They've missed him. Not much on. Hahn goes widest to the right, as you can see now. In decision from Ward. Johnson, and Hahn just stood where he started. Didn't move, took the mark, just pops it across the top. Johnson runs on, having given it to Hahn. Takes the mark hard against the boundary line.
It's moving well, Jono.
Yours.
Nice kick to John Siracusa.
Back here. Good.
Johnson came back after a long out, didn't he, against West Coast? Played about 70% of that game.
The games he's played this year have been pretty good. He's been up and about, so obviously very professional and meticulous in his preparation away from actually playing games.
So John Siracusa, tight angle. Such a neat player. He's 6 goals, 5 from, well, there you go, from set shots. 5 goals in his last 2 matches. Good looking kick. And just fading at the last bit. So the Doggies, at one stage were 12 points down, leader by point deep into this first term.
We're up. Short to Hodge. Good performance by the Dogs. Just had the feeling Hawthorn throwing everything at them to start the game. And they've weathered at least the initial storm. He's a left footer. Stratton goes with the right boot this time. Down towards half forward. Up in front. Juggled attempt at the mark. Morris.
He's a good player. He gives away height every week. He does a wonderful job on whoever he's playing on.
The overall balance of the Western Bulldogs back 6 looks really, really strong, I reckon, at the moment.
Minson up very early. Gives away the free. Well, no, it's going the other way. Blocking. What goes around comes around. Morris penalised earlier, that time on Hodge. Minson drives inside the forward 50. Generally, the umps have been right tonight with that one blemish to start. Here's an opportunity for Birchall. I'll tell you what, one man who would have loved the World Cup would have to be Jeff Geeshan. Suddenly, AFL umpires are best practice. They're at the cutting edge. Mark is taken on the wing by Pickett.
Perhaps they should have goal umpires at the World Cup then.
Yeah, white coats. Bring back those white coats, Bruce.
So Picken building back in. Hahn a target. Stratton did well, got to the front now. Griffin's a long kick. He bends his back, and this is a chance. It's a goal. Right place, right time. Lovely having it in his hands.
It was a great effort from Griffin. He got himself to the absolute front and centre of the contest.
He's hurt himself, Hodge, I reckon, here. He courageously went back, and he's pulled up pretty sore after that.
Just a cork, I think. Oh, Jesus, he's courageous
Keep
player,
coming back, yeah, but that's a terrific long kick, isn't he? He's a beautiful kick of the ball, Griffin.
And we just watched Griffin there. He was actually flat-footed, so I think that the coaching tool is ideally you hit the pack with speed, but to generate a kick like that from 50 metres, basically from a standing start, is an amazing talent.
What's interesting in this early part of the game, Franklin's Bainey pushed up into the midfield. I'll be telling him to stay back in the forward 50 arc a bit. Just don't try and get away from Lake. I mean, Lake's beat him in the contest once or twice, but take him on in there.
Dogs by 7 points. Hodge dance out of the middle, kicks with a searching kick inside the forward 50. The man it was intended for was his step behind Lake, and Franklin, as a result, no play on the football. Here's Murphy, runs outside the defensive 50, high ball towards the wing, in from the side. Juggled mark is taken by Guerra, plays on quickly. Murphy across half back, feeds Mitchell. Mitchell, a sweeping hand pass. We're down to 15 seconds. Hodge finds a way through, kicks inside the forward 50. Up in front, Roughhead juggles the mark. This is a good game of footy, end-to-end stuff.
Well, he looks like he's going to have a good night tonight, Roughhead, because in anything like a contested situation, Lake's got Franklin's measure at the moment. But that height when it's 2-on-2, just can't reach up high enough, Morris.
Isn't it great footage to see those 4 players, 2 quality defenders versus 2 quality key forwards?
Roughhead going at his second, then after the siren, always too narrow. But behind. So, tiny 6-point margin at quarter time after Hawthorn started so quickly. The Dogs reasserted themselves. They'd be pleased. Western Bulldogs 4-1-25, Hawthorn 3-1-19. This is Friday night. It's quarter time right now, Friday night football, and the Dogs lead it by 6 points. Lee Montagna is with me. Now, coming into this one, Lee, we knew no surprises. I mean, 2 quality midfields. Clearances then absolutely essential. How have you seen them?
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting matchup in tonight's game. Obviously, both teams are really good. Western Bulldogs are a terrific clearance team. So far, Hawthorn have been really matching them in the contest. Luke Hodge has already had 5 clearances, so he's going terrific. But that's going to be a fascinating contest for the rest of the game.
Hold that thought. Here's Tim Watson.
I'm down on the ground with John Barker, the forward line coach for Hawthorn. Now, John, Buddy Franklin's playing up pretty high, going outside 50. Brian Lake is staying inside the defensive 50. What's the instruction for Buddy tonight?
Well, we'd like him to get a little bit more ball and be a little bit more effective when he's up, but also with our kicking going forward, we've got to make sure that we're using smart options and not just blazing away to Lake, who's sitting back.
Did you feel there was a lot of opportunities in that first quarter to actually play 2 players?
Yeah, well, I think one of the concerns we had was some of our ball use wasn't great, and then we're not effective going forward.
Thanks for your time, John.
Interesting situation there, Lee. We saw Lake. He's quite prepared to play very deep, isn't he? There was a situation with Franklin and Hargrave just inside the 50, and he's dropped back into the goal square, so he's a hard man to work out, Brian Lake.
Yeah, he can do that occasionally. He can sort of protect the goals, and he'll let his opponents get the footy up on the wing, but he'll just make sure they can't hurt the Western Bulldogs on the scoreboard, and so far he's done that effectively on Franklin.
And we've got to talk about Brad Johnson. Comes back to football after lengthy breaks and looks like he hasn't missed a beat.
Yeah, he's the ultimate professional, Brad Johnson, and he looks like he's running really well and getting his hands on the footy, and he's going to be really important as the game goes on for the Bulldogs tonight.
Having said that, we fixed him. Look at him. The smiling one is sitting down, but still bearing up pretty well. He's got that smile working, Bruce.
He has, and he has had a good term. You're right, Dennis. 5 disposals. Barry Hall, terrific snap goal. Missed a set shot that you thought he would have got. We'll be talking a lot about Lake and Franklin. We've already done that so far tonight. So Dogs lead by a goal at quarter time in a high standard match after Hawthorn kicked 3 of the first 4. Stratton and Hodge has just been magnificent to Mitchell, and then Mitchell to centre wing. Rioli, good effort, got over the top of Gilby. Osborne's contest was very, very good against Pickin. Rioli and crossing hard. Well done, Rioli. Burgoyne, Mitchell waited the handball for Hodge to run onto it. Hodge couldn't quite break through. It was a good tackle. I think he might have hurt himself again, Reid. And now Saul banging forward and Murphy getting onto it. I think Reid is in a bit of strife again, number 11. So he's having a dog of a night, isn't he? There's a bit going on behind. Bad luck for Sam Reid. Here's Easton Wood. So Pickett and Osborne, I don't reckon they'd back too quickly. They'd a couple of balls at one another, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
Cross in the back of here.
Looks in a bad way, Sam Reid. An AC joint is just really debilitating. It just, you can't lay it up. You've got no power through your arms. He's in a bit of strife.
Had an operation late last year, and they found out that he was a type 1 diabetic, and he lost 15 kilos. He's done a great job to get back. Osborne did well on Morris, and then the poor kick, really. He had an option maybe to go shorter. And Lake, who just plays like a quarterback in the back half, to Murphy. Got some good kicks in their defence, haven't they? Murphy, one of them. Hudson to Hahn. And now Griffin. Creating some space here. Well, here he is, like Lazarus, isn't he? There's Reid. Not such a good kick. Schoenmakers. Now Birchall will probably leave it for Renouf. Now, can he get to Birchall? No. Good kick inside by the big guy. Ruffy wanted to go. He's been called to go. Kicks to full forward. Franklin held up by Lake. Mustard off the ground, a goal. Well, Franklin created a contest and Mustard came in and goal.
Sometimes it almost appears there's a reluctance for Franklin to get both his arms up in a marking contest.
Well, whether his hands or his shoulders, but the last 18 months, he just doesn't look like he's got that real powerful extension, 2 arms up and reaching. Certainly at this point of the game, almost he might have to think of playing himself as a defensive forward on Lake. I reckon Lake will take him to the footy.
It's important that Mustard does put some scoreboard pressure on from Bob Murphy.
The umpires aren't going to let anything get out of control tonight. You saw Picken and Osborne having a bit of a tussle on the ground. So you see that goal off the ground there by Mustard. Emergency umpire number 23 sprinted out onto the ground. He stayed on the ground. He shadowed the players around for another minute out there, and he's just finally disappeared back off the ground.
Robert Finlay, number 23. Umpire Finlay's casebook. Opportunity for Birchall, dives after it. Hahn tries to feed it out. Higgins left without the football. Burgoyne dragged down, needs to be careful. Spills across towards Ward. He's surrounded too. Ellis got him, and it's going to be a free kick, and it's going to Ellis. Ellis at half back. Plays on to Birchall. Birchall, little chip. Nice kick, Rioli. Off his step. Hard kick to perfect, too high. As a result, Wood able to knock it away from Mitchell. Gets it back across from Higgins. Kicks inside the forward 50 to Ward. And it's knocked tantalisingly across the boundary. Barry Hall forced to spoil. And there's Reid again flexing. Is that the other shoulder?
I've got a feeling
Surely not.
It wasn't the shoulder. It was his left shoulder in the first quarter, I'm pretty sure.
It's fair to say Rocker did talk up Reid as the toughest player on the Bulldogs just as a young player, which is terrific. Certainly showing all of that tonight.
He'll need to be.
Ward. Now Saul. Good tackle, Higgins.
Mine!
What do you think would happen if Lake is reading the ball so well? If Alistair Clarkson sends a message out to Buddy, listen, try and let Lake take you to the footy when we would be prepared, because Lake reads the ball so well going in.
Boyd, who had a lot of the ball in the opening term, cross to Harbrow, to Higgins. Now Gilby, normally a good kick off one step, couldn't quite get it happening then, and it's out of bounds on the full.
Just back to the Lake Buddy Franklin contest. Lake's kept him goalless the last 2 games, so there might be some psychology within it. Buddy might be beaten already before he goes out there, which you'd think would be extraordinary from someone with the amount of talent that he's got.
Well, Jakovic got inside Carey's head a little bit, didn't he? I mean, that was the great duel. Carey certainly had his moments, and there he is again.
Lake, Gilby, threads a hand pass away, cross to Johnson, inside the forward 50, big leap, John Siracusa. Interesting on the mark moments ago too, as Chance Bateman came up. Watch this again.
Daniel.
Ward goes down.
Body to body.
Yep. That's fine. No real malice there. I think they sort of measured malice now on the mark. Not always easy to measure. John Siracusa, 25 metres out, directly in front, gets the goal. And just for the moment at least, the Bulldogs have all the answers.
It's really important there. The Hawks are very well structured up in the fact that they often outnumber their direct opponents in the defensive 50, and they're going to need special efforts from Gian Siracusa in this case, or Barry Hall, whoever the forward may be, to take a contested mark. And they've had a propensity to do it all year, the Western Bulldogs, so they won't mind that sort of result.
Such a clever mark, wasn't it? He protected the ball and had one in front and one behind.
From a sheer statistical point of view, the Hawks concede the most contested marks out of any side in the competition. See Renouf just getting injured there. Been a few pretty heavy hits.
So Skipper now doing the ruck work against the old team. Lewis, clever bit of play. Rioli, that was clever. Tunnel ball. And then Murphy gave it away in a hurry. Mustered on him. Good duel that. Murphy had a terrific opening turn. Ward did very well against Guerra. Schoenmakers, Burgoyne. And then Schoenmakers threaded the needle to Ellis. Ellis with a little check side. And then Morris attacking. So right now, Morris and Lake having the better of Roughhead, who has kicked a goal. Brilliant by Murphy. Sidestepping, lovely kick to Hall. Got him. Oh, super stuff.
What about Murphy?
Yeah, that was the super stuff, I reckon. Not such a good kick by Barry. And Murphy, another Murphy, cuts it off.
But how quick was the hand pass and how quick did Murphy have to be to evade the two Hawthorn tacklers?
Murphy out of the back pocket. He cuts this up well in terms of editing. Tom Murphy, he'll come out of that looking like a genius. Play it to the grandkids. There's Stratton out of the back pocket up towards the wing. Going back, Burgoyne hard against the boundary line. Little chip over the top. Franklin released into space, but again, well up the ground. Drifting back is Lake. Won't affect this contest, though. He's standing the mark at the moment. Well, he did affect it. Smothered the kick from Roughhead. Ricochets across towards centre-half back. Ward goes in, tackled by Franklin. Well done by Lake. Gets it out to Wood. Not a particularly good kick down towards half-forward. Murphy's in the road. Little 1-2 with Stratton. Still Murphy. Kicks it towards the outer side wing. Burgoyne decides to settle it down. Coming up to his 6th possession, averaging 18 since becoming a Hawk. Just finding his way after early injury. Morris, a strong tackle by Skipper. Skipper seems to be hurt. Meantime, Higgins comes away, drives it around the outer side. Pitches, runs on, Stratton gets back.
With some time, so he uses Ellis.
Both sides playing a pretty similar game plan. They're kicking sides. They've both got 1 and 2 in kick to handball ratio, but still like to get numbers back in their defensive 50. So sometimes going forward, it looks like there are no options.
So Ellis using Stratton as a dummy there. Good contest by Roughhead. Advantage given. Franklin gets it from Skipper, and he's on the board, buddy. And the Hawks draw level again.
Yes, he tried to influence the contest late, but once he went up and the ball fell free with space towards Franklin goal. This is a good idea by Watko. He decides to go up, but he just wasn't able to influence the contest, and Franklin got the reward from just really being the bloke who stayed down.
He's a player, Brian Lake, who backs his ability more than any other defender, I reckon. Just watch here, Brian Lake. He tends to play off his opponent. He's not one of those arm-across defenders. He'll see the ball come in, back his judgment in the air, and always launch at the ball. Sometimes it's hit and miss, and Buddy's the opportunist, sort of tall/small forward, and got the job done there.
Down to you, Tim.
Well, their kicking efficiency still, Hawthorn, is above 80%. Their effective disposal efficiency. The Bulldogs have butchered the ball the last 3 times they've gone for it. A real concern for Rodney Eade.
He's a powerful man, Lake. I mean, Ruffy just bounced off him, didn't he? Lovely kick to Reid. Made more comebacks in this game than unbelievable Reid, and here's Ward at centre wing. The other guy playing his first game for the season, Minson. Well, he is a clever guy, Minson. I'll give him credit for that. Back to Reid,
but it worked.
Yep, back to Ward. Harbrow, good tackle. That came from Burgoyne. Heavy traffic. Young, Picken takes him down. Young was happy with that because he had Lewis, and then Lewis has kicked to Muston, tried to protect the footy. Hargrave did well, and now another Harbrow this time.
With the numbers here through the middle.
Gilby alongside the centre circles, probing kick, it's 2 on 1. Well, Hahn, will they call that as a block? No, Brad not happy.
It was a block, but it was very well executed, wasn't it, by Hahn?
Thank you.
The Hawks actually concede more contested marks than any other side in the competition, and the Bulldogs rank right up there in contested marks in their own side, inside forward 50. So that's a key avenue, and Lee identified that with the Hall-Giller matchup before the game.
Fair enough. Maybe not earlier, though, with Hargrave. Forearm in the back, got away with it. Hall. Well, he reaps the benefit. Bustling Barry.
It's actually a question of which team can actually use the ball into their forward 50. Both defences are looking okay, but you saw just the numbers that the Bulldogs had in the Hawthorn players. They're trying to cover space, but Hall was able to identify the space where he could lead and the space the kicker could actually get it out in his path.
I reckon the Bulldogs half-backs used the ball better than the Hawthorn Hut.
Yeah.
Half-backs the corresponding part of the ground.
And if you're in trouble hitting a target going forward, give the ball into Lindsay Gilby's hands, and that is just a beautiful delivery from half-back.
Gee, when you got Murphy and Gilby in the back half, so Barry Hall with a couple of goals, joins Jack Revolt on 48 for the Coleman medal. Hodge, another clearance. Lee Montagna telling us he had 5 in the opening term. Rough-headed, Peterson and Rioli. This is a good game of footy. Cyril swoops.
She's the small forwards in the AFL at the moment doing some pretty special things. This time we see Rioli on the move as opposed to the one we saw from Ryan Griffin before. They're the two different techniques.
What about Hodge's influence on the smash?
Centre bounce is fantastic. And just to read the ball off the hands, and this will be a really good bit of vision. Hodge got it forward. Let's see where Rioli is. He's on the centre square. He's taken off full speed. The ball's not going to fall into your hands too often when you're going full speed, but actually when it does, doesn't it look good? Peterson's leap actually made it,
Great contest. Rioli, you'd reckon, would back himself in every time in a foot race against Ryan Hargrave, but that's the work there. Luke Hodge, 12 possessions, 6 clearances. A high percentage of contested possessions. He's an out-and-out superstar.
6 times tonight the scores have been level. Not the best bounce in the world. Skipper goes after it. Knocked forward by Hodge. Upended. Didn't get boots of ball. Falling to the ground. Bateman into the path of Osborne. Across the 50 he went. Harbrow, no room to kick it there. Goes after it. Tries to feed it to Cooney. There's a free kick going to Harbrow, the man on the ground.
50,
Not sure why.
Forceful contact. Let's go.
Whoa. And 50. Umpire Bozo.
Let's go.
Shot from one side, it's all right.
Thanks, guys. Right there. Jordan. Just
No idea why that free kick was awarded. Not to say it wasn't there. But Harbrow's got the football. Just forward of the wing. Unchecked. How about that? Jan Siracusa. They were zoning, and Jan Siracusa found a way through the zone. Kicks towards the pocket. Going back was Hall. Spilt it. Over the football is Ward. Going in there too is Higgins. Trying to trap it towards the boundary line. Minson did exactly that, but not 15. And no score. Murphy, Guerra. And Guerra, a terrific kick under pressure to Burgoyne.
Burgoyne to Peterson.
Great visions there. You see up the ground. Buddy Franklin pushed right up. Brian Lake sat across the wing. Just took him when he came forward.
Gee, Burgoyne did well there because Peterson slipped and had problems. Lewis held up in the tackle, did well. Hudson, bullocking player. Johnson, Peterson, high tackle. Burgoyne backtracked very well. Now, this will be interesting. Franklin's marked at 50.
Oh, yes.
Had to be.
That was he just overplayed it a fraction, didn't he?
Well, he knew he was going to be off, wasn't
he wanted to make sure Franklin couldn't play on, but I think he just sort of held on to the contact for a stride too long. Otherwise, he just might have got away with impeding without a 50-metre penalty.
No, you tackled him to ground. You actually had your arms around him, took him to ground. I can't let that go, mate. No, you delayed him in play. You didn't give him an opportunity to get up and go on. You took him to ground. Mark's there.
Has he got a red right eye, Lake? He looks really bloodshot there. Here's Buddy, needs to kick this. Not sure how many opportunities he's going to get. Well, he's got 2 in about 4 minutes.
How that 50-metre actually came about was Brian, his eyes okay there, Bruce. He backs himself so much to read the ball in the air, so he's playing literally about 10 metres off his opponent there when most defenders would go one-on-one, and by virtue of the fact he's playing that 10 metres off, when the contest comes in, if he's a little bit late, he needs to grab him.
And there's a Peterson 50.
That was a 50-metre penalty in the previous phase of play. I don't think he complained about the 50-metre penalty. He did hold on to him too long.
Good bump by Burgoyne there because Peterson was gone, I reckon, and Burgoyne was able to save him.
Keep going.
And there's a late one there.
He just had to hold back and make sure that Franklin couldn't get goal side, but just overplayed it.
Yeah, he didn't have to go to any extreme there. Just guard the left foot too. Just pull up short. and dare him to go on his right. He still might do it to you, but make him earn it. As it turned out, wasn't the best decision.
If Lake had been closer at the initial stage, he wouldn't have needed to grab him. That was the point I was getting to before.
Hudson knocks it down. Mitchell dragging a man along with him. Now he's been taken high, Mitchell, and generally it takes a lot to stop him in his tracks. Slow to get up, the Hawthorn skipper.
I'm certain, Franklin has been told to go and play forward 50 and play rather than just get up as an off-field wing. He's doing it in the second quarter.
Mitchell, 12 possessions now, comes out wide. Rioli plays on, all a little too easy. Grant not working hard enough in that situation. Peterson goes back, off hands to Hudson. Towering kick to the outer side. The numbers favour Hawthorn. Ward's in front. Was he pushed in the back? If not, he's got a problem. Tackled by Ellis. Over the top comes Wood, and the umpire will ball it up in the forward pocket. 8 3/4 minutes from half-time. Margin is 6 points. Hawks on top.
Gee, glancing blow. Cooney, haven't seen much of him in this term. Well done, Eastonwood. To cross, Harbrow, well done by Lewis. Hot footy for Young, he was on the right side to Griffin. Going long, Murphy, good stretch. He's an improved player, Murphy. To Gillam, clever kick. Well, Bunny's up and about suddenly, isn't he? Poor kick though, that's a waste. And the other Murphy to Johnson. What a player he's been.
It's where they can't keep flowing, the Bulldogs. They've had to been held up here because the Hawthorn defence is pretty well organised, pretty well structured.
Well, Boyd outnumbered, did brilliantly, plays on to Wood. Now a one-out contest, about 20 metres from goal. And it's going to be Gian Syracuse's free kick. He was being held, apparently, a long way from us. Birchall is penalised. 20 metres out. Birchall doesn't believe it. Well, it's clear enough.
Must be a moment of panic, Tom, when you're coming back with the flight of the ball. You know your forward opponent is in the best position, and you say, what can I do here?
Well, there's a skill of the game that's probably been phased out with the use of zones and things like that, and Grant Birchall certainly looked unsure as to how to play that from a defensive point of view.
Gian Syracuse gets his second. Scores a level again.
He's back to his sort of 2008 form, Grant Birchall. He's delivering the ball inside the Hawthorn forward 50 really well this year, spending a lot more time up the ground. Looked a little at sea, but in that situation, in all honesty, when you're one out in the forward 50, there's not much you can do. Hang on for dear life and keep your eye on the ball is the one coaching point I think you get from your defensive coach.
Yeah, and another over-the-top ball falling for the forward.
Sam Reeder's had an up and down night. He's had a lot of injury there. This is the diabetic test that he does. He's a type 1 diabetic. He does this when he comes off the ground. A little prick there just to see exactly where he's at, whether he needs an energy boost or not. So a whole lot to think about for that young man. Playing his first game this year. He played in 4 winning teams last year in the 4 matches he played in.
Doesn't have a prior opportunity, didn't drag it in. Just went to ground with
They're all big games, actually. He played against Hawthorn and they won. And then he played against Brisbane, Collingwood and Geelong, and they won all those too going into the finals.
Fascinating vision to see that.
Play on.
Minson off the ground. Done that a couple of times tonight. Ellis, high, Saul, Mitchell had to go quickly. Kick wide, asked a lot of Young. Wood's been very impressive.
On the man, too long in the tackle. No advantage. Holding the man.
He did. It was impressive the way he played that. He really wasn't that advantage against Young, but he kept his balance. It was always the pressure didn't force him to ground.
Wood towards the outer side, just beyond the ring. Minson uses his body to good effect, takes the juggling mark, comes inside to Ward. Alongside the centre circles, Ward to space. That's an intelligent kick. Hargrave can run onto the footy, just wouldn't sit for him. Kicks downwards, full forward. At the back, Gian Syracuse. Johnson, half chance, ball runs away from him behind. So that was a nice kick coming across the ground. And that score gives the Bulldogs the lead approaching half-time. Weira, well-weighted kick. Burgoyne right on the 50. Top quality game, this one. Two free-flowing teams putting their best on display. Roughhead, high ball towards the interchange gates. Late, what a good mark against quality opposition. Franklin was flying from behind.
He defends by marking, not spoiling marking.
Best form of defence attack.
Now Ruckman in front. No stranger to Lake. That was Wade Skipper. Down goes Pickens. Strong tackle by Hodge.
Well, it is strong tackling. I mean, it's just when the tackles are being hit tonight, they're just being laid really heavily.
It's a great one-on-one game of footy. We're commenting about how free-flowing it is, but the actual one-on-one contest, and whoever winning the contested situations will end up winning the game.
Minson belting forward. Ellis on the wrong side. Osborne, Burgoyne. Normally a good kick. Comes back inside and then delivers to half forward. Morris read it pretty well against Young, and then Hargrave running out of room. Handball, and Lewis chopping off. Not sure if there's a better competitor than Hodge in the game. I mean,
oh, yeah, he is fantastic.
Oh, he's been thrilling tonight, hasn't he? So scores have been level 7 times in this opening half, and at the moment the Doggies by a single point. Gilby had it smothered. Reed still in there. Higgins.
50 metres abuse. It's demonstrative against you. Doesn't matter, it's demonstrative, mate.
Certainly is doing it all.
He didn't duck, okay?
Mate, it's frustration from all the free kicks.
I know. That's all right, mate. Mark's here.
Interesting conversation. Higgins went down on the tackle. The first tackle was okay. And Hodge, I'm not sure if he verbally said anything to the umpire, but he waved his arms. But a footballer should be allowed to wave his arms.
I thought it was a pretty good conversation.
Anyway, here is Hodge.
In fact, Hodge handled it brilliantly, I would have thought.
Hodge's kick to space. Pickett read it very well. John Syracusa. He was flat-footed. Johnson always under the pump. That looked high. That is high.
Guira, the player who was tackled.
Throw it up on this turf, guys. Throw it up.
I think that's body language.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the words were, but the acts of frustration, you should be able to look frustrated, surely.
I hope so.
Griffin goes down towards the 50. Bouncing football. Set up for Murphy. Gillum. Stratton goes towards the outer side wing. Taken by Young. 4 minutes out from halftime. Young goes for distance down towards half forward. Franklin gets some separation, and that's all it takes. Takes a towering mark over to Bateman. Bateman goes down towards full forward. Lands to Chance. Can they do something now? Deep in attack. Skipper goes after the football. Tries to tap it across, but he lacks support. He intended to give it to Bateman. Now it's gathered by Roughhead. Steps from the boundary. Getting back, the mark is taken down there by Hargrave.
Just went over.
Wow. There's a bit going on with the umpires tonight. Maybe the World Cup has made them overconfident.
It was 11 50-metre penalties played last night, which is about 3 times as much as normal. 3 or 4's average.
4 tonight so far.
So Higgins, early goal scorer for the Dogs. Minson in trouble there. Such a combative first half. We expected it, didn't we? We called their match on a Sunday in round 3. It was a classic. So Minson, left leg. Not sure if it's an ankle knee.
This way he's going to kick it right down his throat.
Gee, he has to. So he's at the...
Injured player. My ball. Injured player in the way, my ball.
This has had everything.
Gee.
Injured player. Going to bounce it here.
So, ankle. Yep. So you saw it coming, Tom. So
I thought that trainer was going to take the mark.
Wouldn't that have been a great shot?
Well, Cooney's pushed Higgins at the back, so it has had a lot. Johnson to Boyd.
Boyd's been good down towards half forward. All Hawthorn. Getting back is Birchall. And a spearman on the outer side. Doesn't go to him. Instead, comes to the northern side of the ground is Stratton. Just pops it over the top to Skipper. Skipper, former Dog, finding his way at Hawthorn, and certainly has been getting a fair bit of the ball in the last month. Hard against the boundary line. Not the best kick in the world. Try and mark that. Nobody did. Wood was up, thumped it away, taken by Cross. Clever hand pass. Oh, wonderful effort by Young. Slowed Harbrow up. Good tackle by Franklin, but not before Higgins gave it to Johnson. Johnson lines up, open square. Needed to bounce it at right angles at the finish. It didn't do that. It just runs on and goes through for a minor score. Dogs by 2 points.
His Hodges injury. God, he's been belted a bit.
I reckon we've seen about 4 Hodge injuries tonight. He's still out there.
Do you know when that funny old kick went in? I wondered if they kicked that ball so late couldn't mark it.
Yes. Well, that's an interesting theory, Bruce. I don't know whether I'd agree with it, but maybe.
So Burgoyne to centre wing. It was a slow, careful kick. They're dangerous, aren't they? When they don't come off. Harbrow held up, fetches it back. Stratton with him.
Both sides are playing a really taxing game of footy at the moment. And he just keeps soldiering on.
Good tap by Hudson. Boyd with a clearance. And Ward was the only one who accelerated to the ball.
Let's get in quick one-on-one. Hall wants it one-on-one with Gillum.
Goes looking for Siracusa, and that was a terrific effort there. Throwing himself at the football, Stratton in his fingertips, but sold a teammate Guerra into trouble. Feeds it back to Rioli, and close quarters got it from Bateman. They took a risk and they got through. Birchall to Sewell. Sewell drives it inside the forward 50. Franklin, second attempt. Play on's the call. Morris off his step, kicks it outside the 50. Oh, well done, Harbrow. Took care of the champ. Knocked him off the line of the ball. Spilt by Lewis. Ward came to him. Hammered forward there by Mitchell. Hodge into space. Takes something off the kick. Well done. Gets it back from Franklin. Short one, ambitious. Knocked away from Muston. Hand pass came from Cooney. In trouble was Gilby. Coming up is Rioli. Sewell. Hand passes to Roughhead. Brilliantly smothered off the boot down there by Lake. Comes across towards Griffin. Rioli emerges with the football. Gets a hand pass away. Standing his ground, Schoenmakers. Diving in was Bateman. Loose ball slapped out of there by Renoff. Taken by Sewell. Getting back is Pickett.
Great stuff.
Cyril! What?
Banging the ball out. A magnificent first half here. Griffin changing direction cleverly. John Siracusa tried the half volley. Birchall's been pretty steady except for that free kick. Johnson toe pokes to the line. It was a classic, wasn't it? An hour of end-to-end combative football on a Friday night. But he's kicked a couple. Lake's had a good first half, but 4 wouldn't be bad. Scores have been level 7 times in this opening half.
Looks like some pretty tired players out there at the moment. It's a taxing game of footy, awesome to watch.
Not supposed to for that little 50-metre penalty. So half-time here at the G on a Friday night. The Doggies over the Hawks by 2 points.
Back come the Dogs then, holding a slender lead at halftime on Friday Night Football. They're up by just 2 points. 7-3 plays 7-1 after they led by 6 points at quarter time. Real good game of football. You can see Barry Hall there. He's got 2 goals. Daniel John Siracusa has 2. And for Hawthorn, Lance Buddy Franklin has had his moments in the opening half. He's kicked 2 goals as well. Let's go down to Tim Watson.
Well, Paul, you've crunched the numbers at half-time. What are they telling you?
It's pretty even. It's pretty even. Their tackle pressure's up on ours. Their intensity at that stoppage and probably the scrimmage sort of area is a little bit better than ours. So we also play a little bit too high at times. So we've spoken about, we've restructured a couple of things, and we'll see how we go.
Luke Hodge has been damaging in that first half. Any special plans for him in the second half?
Yeah, we've got someone to go with him. I think his clearance work has been outstanding, and well, the way he cuts through the centre bounce is pretty hard to stop. But our ruckmen haven't been getting their hands to it, so they've been told that they have to get some hit-outs for us.
Will it be Boyd that goes to him?
He'll be one at times. We'll go through him.
Thanks, Paul.
No worries, Tim.
Sam Reid, interesting story. We touched on it during the first half. A type 1 diabetic, playing his first game as a type 1 diabetic. Previously undiagnosed when he was playing his earlier games. He was diagnosed back in November at the end of last season, and now he checks his sugar levels every time he interchanges, and he's the sort of player that does that 4 or 5 times a term. So he understands he's a role model. Great to see him out there. Great to see people with that illness making an impact here in the AFL. Well done, Sam Reid. A terrific role model. Speaking of which, I suppose he was going to be that way because he was born on the day Terrific won the Melbourne Cup. But I digress. 7-3, 7-1 to start the second half. Buddy Franklin still looming large in this contest. Brian Lake has been freed up. So far, 16 possessions. That is second only to Matthew Boyd on the ground. Matthew Boyd with 19 has been very good. Grant Birchall, 16 for the Hawks. Sam Mitchell, 15 for the Hawks.
It's interesting, the Hodge-Boyd situation. They both had 6 clearances, and Boyd's always had 8 contested possessions, but Hodge is more penetrating with his use of the footy.
Well, here's hoping the second half is as good as the opening half. Rucks go at it on the way down. Hudson just directs it down at his feet. Sewell has had a job to do, comes up brandishing the football.
Looks like Adam Cooney might have actually be the player that's going to take the match up with Hodge.
These clearances so important. Third man up, cross, 2 hands it down, comes again after it was punched back by Osborne. Boyd couldn't find the handle. Cooney does, kicks inside the forward 50. There's that man. He started well, Stratton. He's played a good first half, and he continues in that vein with a nice kick to Young inside the forward 50. Franklin almost held there too. There seemed to be an arm of jumper. After the football goes Franklin eventually, when he can get free of Lake, who was clinging to him, but trying not to be seen. We'll have a ball up.
Got the great ability, Lake, isn't he, to sort of get his body weight into the torso of a Franklin-type player, so he can't really be well balanced when he tries to reach for the football.
I think that's Franklin's best bet, is to get Lake out to about the 50-metre mark. Makes him accountable, but also still Franklin the scoring threat because he can thread them from there.
Saul tried to get a clearance, couldn't quite. Hudson, clever handball over the top by Reid, and now Cooney. As Lee said, he looks like he's running with Hodge early in this second half, and Guerra takes the mark.
It's a very, very one-on-one game all over the park. You look out and you see pairs of players running all over the shop.
Was it when he had
Bulldogs free kick from where he kicked it.
Okay, Sean Higgins from where he kicked it.
I think the block against Franklin, I think.
Downfield.
Yep, that was it. That was the umpire said this was it. Good camera to see that.
So Higgins gets the kick and then floats the ball forward. Gee, it took a long time and no one could get to Hahn as a poor kick. He wanted to get it on in a hurry for Hall, but made a meal of it. Murphy, been impressed with him. Both Murphys have played well. One obviously a little more famous than the other so far. Good kick, Birchall to Schoenmakers. Now Franklin leading into the pocket. Goes to him. It's a good kick. Oh, not quite Buddy as quick as he is. Could not quite get there. And a ball in the forward 50 for the Hawks.
It's been very good, Hawthorn's back 6, I reckon. They're not a bit unheralded as a group, but the Bulldogs have scored, been accurate, but that Hawthorn back 6 has been very good.
Holes greater than the sum of the parts, a bit like the Saints last week.
Yep.
Boundary throw in. Sewell gathers it off hands, immediately claimed by that tackling machine, Daniel Cross. Have a ball up. Sewell immediately finds the man he's marking, Adam Cooney. Well, a few bad bounces tonight. It's a bit soft out there. Renoff snaps at goal. It floats down towards the square and just goes wide on the second bounce and through for a minor score. Said it before, Renoff is a player who's getting better. And Rodney, dare I say, it looks quite relaxed.
He's certainly benefiting, Renoff, from having the 3 months as the main ruckman, doing 80% of the ruck work. If you don't develop in that, you'll never develop.
Taylor probably a couple of weeks away from coming back. You think that they'll be very keen to get him back into the team in the second half. Robert Murphy. Short to Lake. It's going to be fascinating to see how the Lake-Franklin duel finishes at the end of the night. Lake with so much footy, but Buddy has kicked too. That kick ambitious by Lake, and Hodge was able to hold it up a bit. Here's Reid getting the handball and going through the centre, kicking the ball poorly. They've done it a few times now, haven't they?
Had to carry it. They had to try and run with the footy and try and get to the front of the centre square, not that mid-line.
Their intent is very clear. They want to get the ball quickly into a one-on-one contest. They see that as their distinct competitive advantage with Hall directly opposed to Gillum.
There's Guerra, who got it from Gillum. Told to play on. Lead comes from Renoff. I think he's trying to spot him. It was touched by the man only 5 metres away. There's Renoff. It bounced in his direction. Arriving quickly as Harbrow went to ground. No one brought the dummy. They went with him, and the ball spills out of bounds.
Some really interesting midfield matchup deals going on. There's Sewell obviously trying to get to Cooney. Cooney's getting involved with Hodge, and Crosses in there as well. So at the moment, 4 players running around together.
Just watching that replay, Renoff and Guerra did some terrific work there. Sewell trying to thread it through. Didn't get to Stratton. Stolen away by Cross. High ball towards full forward. Courage from Hodge. And he found the football on the ground. Brilliant stuff. The Young. Young a hand pass to the run out of defence from Bateman. Now Bateman challenges the opposition. Then a sweeping hand pass after the man peeled off to come to him. Schoenmakers kicks inside the forward 50. He was the beneficiary of Bateman's hard work. Murphy in the opposite direction. Hand passes out of bounds. He was in the grasp. Well, throw in is the call.
He sticks the tackle, Rioli, doesn't he? He had a chance, Murphy, to try and evade the tackle, but Rioli, once he's got you don't get away.
Schoenmakers missed a big chance, didn't he? He had really needed to be more accurate. Hudson's kick, Ellis straight off the interchange, sliding into it. Higgins, good result, I think, outnumbered. We haven't had a goal for a long time in this match. 16 minutes since a goal for either team. 1 point the difference.
Franklin staying close to the goal now. I think that might have been instruction from Clarkson and the coaching staff for the Hawks.
So Hudson, who was challenged at half-time, we heard Paul Williams talking to Tim Watson. There's the Hawks forward 50 set up.
See Brian Lake there clearly calling back his Bulldogs defenders. That's why they work so well cohesively as a unit.
Both sides seem to have the one extra defender back at these stoppages.
Skipper won the tap. Boyd won a clearance. It was touched. So boundary throw in.
The crowd obviously don't hear the umpires, Mike.
And Hodgie turns up where there's controversy, or so it seems tonight. The ball found him. He was just standing there at the interchange gates. Kicked forward, Hawthorn's chance. Burgoyne had it knocked away. Hargrave leads back in the race, wants the boundary, and gets it out. So real tug of war at the moment. Who touched it?
Yeah, I reckon I saw a bit of movement and Ellis's finger there, Dennis.
Did you really?
No, I did.
Tossed in, flicked down behind by Minson, taken by Cross. I wasn't doubting that for a moment. Here's Boyd, hand passes forward. Well done again by Hodge. Knocked it down to accommodate Ellis. Bateman across to Mitchell. Kicks inside the forward 50. Oh, what a good mark. Oh, they were coming from everywhere. But he plays the game to the beat of his own drum, does Brian Lake. And he was drumming frantically there. That was a wonderful grab. Harbrow, Murphy, through midfield they go. This is Wood.
Wood for full forward. Has he got enough on it? Jan Syracuse at the back. Hall trying to break the tackle. Gets to Johnson, and Johnson's kick only as far as Hodge. So often he's been in the right place at the right time, but he's had to take a hit to get there. Out wide. I've asked you this once before, Lee. How would Brian Lake go at full forward? He's a magnificent mark.
Yes. Trouble is, there's no one trying to spoil him when he's playing defence.
Yes.
I knew you'd have a good answer. Here's Peterson. Oh, little toe poke by Roughhead. Cooney's give was good, and he gets it back from Hargrave. And then Cooney wide. Floating ball. Clever mark. Like this guy would. Off he goes. Cross. And then Cross with a long one to centre half forward. Jan Syracuse. He's there again. That's where he was in the grand final, remember?
Yeah.
Sweeping it half back, making a mess of Geelong, and then... Oh, sorry, Tom.
Birchall on the outer side having a terrific game. We've got a whistle and 50 metres.
50 metres from there. Against Daniel Gianzaracuse. Free kick to Hawthorn.
Umpires pointing everywhere.
And 50 metres.
Umpire Bozzo. Prohibited contact against Gian Syracuse. I can't even see Gian Syracuse.
Against Daniel
It was about 50 metres from the footy. It's a big penalty, isn't it? The free kick's 50 metres downfield, then it's a further 50-metre penalty again.
So Birchall has a chance to score a goal. He doesn't get too many of them. So much of the football coming up for his 14th possession.
2 metres, Matthew, 2 metres.
Dangerous customer running across half-back, that penetrating left foot. See if he can go the journey here. Steps to the 50. Kick is way offline, hangs it out to the left of behind, and scores. Level again.
For the 8th time, Dennis, tonight, Josh whispers in my ear. So it's been that sort of game. Lake, high ball, Franklin put him down. Birchall, well done, Griffin. She made some ground and then was able to take the mark. Kicked a spectacular goal in the opening quarter. Back to Hargrave. Over the top, Wood. And then Hargrave going to the heart of the centre square. Cross did well. Ellis overplayed it. He had Johnson inside. Now Hall's the target. Osborne's courageous. He could feel Barry coming, but was never quite going to get there. Ellis. Rioli short. So, heard the umpy. Peterson dragging down Picken. He's quick, Peterson. He's rangy, isn't he?
He didn't scan the field, did he, Cross, when he had that mark back there before? If he'd actually looked inside, the Bulldogs teammate was Johnson, on, but only looked outside.
Was his captain.
Bounce on the wing then. Minson grimacing, as you saw, with that ankle yet again as the Dogs work it down towards half forward. Chopped off by Guerra, taken by Young. Kick inside the forward 50. This will be interesting. Bounce almost favoured Franklin. Terrific there by Lake, at least in the short term. Slap back inside the 50. Well done by Wood to Lake. Just pops it across towards Boyd, who tracks it towards the boundary line. Nothing much on up the ground. Knocks it into the path of Minson, who limps after that one. And then in a little bumping joust with Roughhead as the ball goes out of bounds. Just watching Wood, he's a very athletic player, young Easton Wood. Actually, his parents both selected for New Zealand's Commonwealth Games team in 1978. Dad Phil and Mum Fiona. He was a triple jumper and she was an 800-metre runner. Ball midway between the lines.
Illegal tackle.
Must
be a legal tackle. You've seen his back.
Edmonton, Canada. I knew that, Bruce. Well, I didn't really, but I knew you would, so I was just relying on you to scribble me a note. There's the kick inside the forward 50 from behind Peterson. Edmonton 78. I'm not sure I was there. I don't remember.
You can stay with Michael.
Peterson with a chance to break the deadlock from 35 metres out.
That's the bottom of the pack, free, lying on his back.
You've been talking to the AFL League.
I do agree with that interpretation, I've got to say.
20 seconds gone.
So Peterson on the clock now. He won't be rushed. Wow. In his own time zone. He kicks it behind after all of that, but it's enough to lead.
I know you laughed at me before when I said that Franklin maybe should play as a defensive forward, but I reckon then he made sure that Lake didn't jump at the footy, which is what he's got to do. Lake's just reading the ball so well in the air. But Franklin has sometimes just got to make sure he doesn't mark it.
Back he goes. I mean, Tom, you played alongside probably the best fullback we've seen in a long, long time in Scarlett. But we're probably looking at the All-Australian fullback this year for sure, aren't we? Harbrow, twisting and turning. He hasn't been able to get a lot of rebound tonight, Harbrow. They've been onto him. Hahn, Boyd did well. He broke it. Back to Picken. And they've got Jan Siracusa all on his own, or slowly getting there. Gillen took a chance. Birchall, the gang tackle. They've done well here, the Hawks. Murphy, Stratton, Peterson, Roughhead. Little step okay to Mitchell. And then Mitchell off one step. Muster now, can he get it on in a hurry? Inside he goes to Saul. Saul to Young, good vision. Buddy running past, Young's a long kick.
He can go from here. All started from the Hawks backline again, working as a unit, not so much the one-on-one contest, but Gillam having the courage to leave his direct opponent Hall.
Did a good job, yeah. No, they're back there. The structure's been fantastic. June Syracuse was completely on there, but they got there to spoil.
And good patient ball use as well. Could have blazed away to Brian Lake.
He is a beautiful long kick on the run. He's got underneath it. And Hudson that time, quickly on. Cross.
Out of defence then Cross. Outside the 50. Just. Bateman falling to the ground. Over the shoulder. Young. It was well played by the man coming at him, Gilby. Kept him from going back on his left side. Bateman slams it at Young. Standing his ground was Reid. And Reid, who's feeling a bit ginger, will take the free kick at left half back. Both shoulders taped at half time. Certainly paid a price tonight. Centering kick. Showing no nerves there goes to Wood. So two youngsters combining. Wood to Hargrave. Now Picken is on. Now Picken should run. Osborne has to chase him. Picken kicks towards half forward. Hall a little tentative coming to the contest. Ball's in front. Ward is through. Johnson is loose. Johnson, open goal, gets it.
We spoke earlier in the game about defenders taking the front position, and every now and again the ball will come over the top, and that's what's happened tonight. But given we're halfway through the third quarter, it's like 7-4 to 8-3. The percentages are that the defence playing in front is actually on top of the forwards who are actually hoping to get the one like that where they can kick the ball over the top.
Some of the structures have been fantastic from both sides, where the actual back six are dominating the opposing six forwards. Terrific work here by Callum Ward. Just to see the contested situation and just went through the middle.
Took the gap.
It's his first goal in Melbourne this year, Jono. It's one of 4 blokes to play 350 and kick 550. Bartlett, Quinlan, Madden, the other names. Good company. Here they come again. Running hard. Picken finds Grant.
No. Who's in the contest? Mark's here. Thank you.
You're in zone, boss.
Yep.
Centre clearance is so crucial. We saw Hodge beauty the quarter before, and now this one, a clean break, gives you the opportunity to have a one-on-one forward against a direct defender.
I'd say the centre bounce is the only time of the game now where you've got a forward structure anything like in place, isn't it? So sometimes you wonder when the ball's up the other end that your forwards are up in the midfield, no one to kick to.
Yep. He's been iffy with set shots this year. 3 goals, 6. But an emerging forward. We had 1 goal in 26 minutes. We might have 2 within a minute here, both for the Dogs. No, so 3 goals, 7 from set shots. So tall forwards, it's an important key to them being successful. With Bomber Thompson looking on. Geelong play Hawthorn next week. What a cracker they had in round 2 earlier this year. The Hawks led by 4 goals at half-time, and the Cats got them.
Hawks got a really big month coming ahead where they'll really find out where they sit in the overall competition.
Guerra straight up the middle end. Sewell had it knocked away. Dieting after the football. Hodge emerging with it. Mitchell. They're well represented there. Hodge goes after the football. Tackles Picken. Picken. Well, he fought his way out of that one. It comes across to Reid. Advantage is paid? Don't think so. It's coming back, and it's going to be a free kick. And it will be taken by Grant. No advantage.
No advantage. Here it is here. Pushing the back.
Tough play by Picken. I don't think he's got the length in his kicking ground on the few that we've seen to do a drive it in from 55, which is where he's going to have to kick from.
Well, Picken, to all intents and purposes, had stopped there for a while and realised there was no whistle, so he had to fight his way out. Kick from Grant inside the forward 50. Fisted away from behind towards the boundary. A big fist came from Stratton. It's out of bounds. We'll have a boundary throw-in.
Bruce, you spoke about Hodge and his competitive nature. I think we saw another player there from the Bulldogs in Picken.
Yep. Yeah. It's tough, isn't he?
Just to get to the AFL, I think he had to show that, didn't he? Collingwood for a while, famous father. So Hudson to himself, Cooney and Hodge started this quarter together. Gee, that's a 360, isn't it?
That's
the new rule. Sorry, I should mention it.
Might have been a 400, that one.
There's Saul. Back to Mitchell. I hope the geese doesn't ring me. Missed by Murphy. Had a bit of it. Mustin back. Good hands by Osborne. And then Skipper. Burgoyne. Normally a good kick. Runs his measure. Well, Ruffy getting back. Brilliant. And gives it to Cyril. And they're in front. No, they're level. Again. Oh, I nearly nearly said delicious, but I just couldn't do it. Someone might have been listening.
It was his sheer height, wasn't it? Gilby had the chance to come over the top to lay the spoil. Yeah, about a 400 that one, I reckon. Yeah.
Just over 3.6. That's a new rule. We've got that one.
The 400 rule.
400's okay. 360's a problem.
Yeah. He almost got there, Gilby here. Just couldn't time the contact. Good mark, easy goal.
Good mark. Great play.
Back in the middle, Hodge almost got away there. Down goes Skipper. And again, wrestling the ball away from him is Hudson. Locking it in is Hodge, who flew over the pair of them.
You never fell on your back wide. Okay, went over it. Okay, let's go. Let's go, guys. Come on, Ben.
Animated discussion.
Contested possession footy, I reckon, in the last month or so has gone back to the side that dominates contested possession and clearances. The Dogs with the ascendancy at the moment.
It's an emotional game. John Siracusa kicks it down towards the pocket and it runs out of bounds. Now, Minson still not moving that well on that injured ankle, but they're running both big guys at the moment. We saw Hudson moments ago in the centre and Minson on the forward line. Well, if it hits the deck, he's likely to be a liability. Over the football, Griffin. Strong tackle. Sully's a wonderful tackler. At close quarters, Mitchell gave it to Bateman. Drives it around the outer side. Wonderful judgment there by Gilby. But to think about there when Rioli is coming back on you, you better hold it. Gilby across the ground. Lovely kick. And Ward comes up to take the mark.
It was a magnificent kick, wasn't it? And Ward short. Just misses Hahn. John Siracusa clever. Cooney can't quite. Oh, yes, he can.
That was great strength, wasn't it? He had the acceleration, which maybe it's harder to tackle a body that's moving really quick. But he actually, we'll have a look at here. That was just a good read of the ball by Ward. But when the ball gets into Cooney's hands, he accelerates. The Hawthorn play, I'm trying to think who is it. Yeah, Lewis. He holds the tackle just momentarily, but couldn't maintain the cling.
The strength's the big thing here. Just the strong core through the hips. Just goes to show when you build up seasons 5, 6, 7, you just get stronger and stronger. So we see so many young, talented players that don't have the body strength to pull off that sort of move.
Dogs by 6 points, approaching three-quarter time. Hodge taken high by Hudson. Hodge with the free. 20 possessions now, just lays it off. Birchall, long kick, telling kick. Wonderful leap by Peterson.
And that was the leap, wasn't it? He just actually climbed into the air. I don't think he jumped on anyone's back. I think he just actually jumped in the air. Unbelievable leap.
Mark's there.
They were using him as their second ruckman there at one stage earlier in the year before they were playing skipper, such as his leap for medium-sized player.
Vertical leap from Carl Peterson. If you've been following the script in this, he's due to kick a goal and level the scores. Obviously, not quite. Hangs it out to the right-hand side of behind. Let's go down to Tim.
We'll talk to Brad Sewell pre-season. He said that they've got their own Liam Jarrah, a bloke by the name of Carl Pearson. I've got to say, I've run into Carl many times on the boundary. I've never seen a young player in AFL football who wears the smile like he does. He loves playing.
Well, he's exciting. He's had 3 shots for goal tonight and hasn't kicked one, but he's given the fans plenty to scream about. But that was a big miss in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was a man-to-man defence of the kick-in. You don't see that too often.
No. So Harbrow here, uncertain, backtracking. He's got no one to kick it to. No one made a lead on the other side. Franklin was corralling Lake, and that's a great result. Boy, that's like winning a hand with a pair of 2s, I reckon.
That's the advantage of the man-to-man. No one used it much because you can't stop the first run. They'll run to space, but then there's no target.
Morris to centre wing. Hudson's been really at his combative best in this quarter. Well, Johnson trying to take on Peterson. I don't know, John, if that's a good idea. Back goes Peterson to Guerra. Guerra took the hit. He knew it was coming. Saul and Cooney. Boyd, clever, well done. Picken back to Cooney to Picken. Should have got a free kick, and he does.
Too long in the tackle.
That was interesting with Peterson and Johnson down there, Bruce. It was a smile-a-thon.
Brett started one, and I think there was a little grimace at the end.
He wiped the smile off his face.
To see the toothpaste endorsements go.
Now you're thinking like a media man, Tom. It's taken a while. Picken drives it from the wing down towards the attacking 50. Well, while the big guys were jostling, Guerra stepped past them and took the mark on his chest.
He's quicker than Bucks. Bucks was here 2 years and he would never have thought of that, would he?
Yeah, but he never went commercial really in his way, did he, Bucks? Good to see that Tom is prepared to get down there and dirty. From half back, Sewell drives it towards half forward. In from the side. What a wonderful mark. Terrific grab taken by the big guy, Wade Skipper.
Conditions look pretty good out there at the moment. We had a lot of rain before the game, but we haven't had any throughout the game. And we've seen some great marks as a result.
Talking about Taylor before, he'll have his work cut out, at least in the short term when he comes back, I reckon. These two guys have done a pretty good job holding it together. Here's Blake, or rather late. He got it from Gilby, goes across the ground to Johnson. Johnson in the back pocket. He needs more movement up ahead. Gian Siracusa needs to mark it. He does. Well, that would have been a disaster had it spilt that particular mark. Didn't. Gian Siracusa again does much the same thing to cross.
Finds some space. Good kick to Minson. A little bit wounded, as we said. Here's Harbrow. This is where he's at his best. Hall worked underneath it. Reed, Hodge puts him on the ground. Johnson in hard. Hawks over the top. Where's the footy?
Holding the ball. First tackle's here, yours.
So Sam Reed gets it against Luke Hodge, I think. It was hard to work it out. Reed's kick not good. Rough head in the back half. Terrific contest by Pickering again. He's been doing that. Hall to Boyd. Higgins a sharpshooter. Hooking too far. And the Dogs get out to a 6-point lead.
Just you've got to take a chance if your shots at goal because they're very hard to generate. It's both defences are very much on top.
The inside 50 is 37 to 34, so you're not getting the opportunities in there.
So Young to bring it in to himself. Now, I'm not sure that's the side to go to. Not much on up the ground. Kicks it to a contest. In from the side, the leap came from Reed. Over the top, Sewell did brilliantly. Initially outnumbered. Eventually, Lewis got across to help. Kicks it around the outer side. Leading back in the race is Murphy. Too nimble for Muston. Speeds away from Muston. Terrific stuff. Murphy. Hand passes forward. Taken on the outer side by Reed. Back over the shoulder. Intended for Cooney. Crashing his way through was Hodge. Kick from Lewis to half forward. Franklin's got the football. Outside Peterson. Peterson the short pass. Rough head hands to it. Couldn't hang on. Falling to the ground to Mitchell. Mitchell spots a man. Well, wide of the mark. Bateman goes after it. Boot the ball. And through for a minor score. Riveting stuff. Margin 5 points.
I reckon they made about 3 poor decisions there. They had chances, didn't they? Good pressure by the Dogs, though. It's a pity it wasn't Peterson to Franklin.
Yeah. Yep.
It was Franklin to Peterson.
Just saw Cooney and Hodge going head-to-head. Those two big, experienced gun midfielders. Fantastic contest.
So Boyd. Usually in a match like this, you feel like one team's asserting itself, but at the moment it's still 50-50, isn't it? So Boyd outside the 50. Johnson a target. Franklin clever to Mitchell. Arches his back in his typical style. Skipper. Buddy. Stops and props. Back to Mitchell. Off one step. Osborne. Oh, big fly.
Unrealistic leap.
Unrealistic leap.
There are a few in that pack.
Ambitious leap.
That was because Brian Lake was in the pack. Anyone else was unrealistic. I think that was the definition.
Very good.
So is it against Osborne?
It was against Michael.
Yeah, against Osborne.
How can that be an unrealistic leap?
He almost clubbed it, didn't
When
he?
he almost marked it.
And I think we're just nodding in agreement. That's a ridiculous decision.
Terrible decision.
It just makes you get really angry, doesn't it, when you're watching a game like this? Anyway, I'm not going to get angry. It's too good. So Lake belts it away.
Promote the bloke going for the mark.
Well, if he takes the mark, it's paid. And he almost took it.
Let's have a look at it again.
There's no hands.
Yeah,
He's got to the height of the ball.
Nothing wrong with that.
That is ridiculous.
When the umpire looks back at it, he'll just hang his head because he knows he's made a blue. But anyway, that's enough of that. 54-59.
The Bulldogs by 6 points, 2 points, and now 5 at three-quarter time. When the Saints are playing and I go looking for potential match winners, well, that's obvious. I settle for Lee Montagna, but Lee's alongside me. Lee, who's going to step up, do you think, in this final quarter?
Yeah, I think in a game that's this tight and, the scoring's dried up a little bit, you're really looking for your game breakers, guys that can break the lines and create. And I think for the Western Bulldogs, Ryan Griffin and Adam Cooney are the two. They've been pretty well held by Brad Sewell and Chance Bateman doing quite good jobs on them. So I think they're the two that can really give them that run and spark in this last quarter. While for Hawthorn, I think the obvious one's Cyril Rioli. He's got that X factor about him, can really break the lines. And the other one I think might be Carl Peterson. He looked lively that quarter. He's up and about, and he might be able just to create something that last quarter, just to give Hawthorn that little lift they need to get that goal or two.
Let's go down to Tim Watson with Leon Cameron.
Well, Leon, it's been a tough, bruising contest. Is it going to be the side that makes the most of their half chances in this last quarter?
Yeah, I think so. I think probably the first 10 minutes of that quarter, we didn't make the most of inside 50 entries. Come back to haunt us a little bit. So, yeah, I think that's probably going to come down to the case. I think everyone's obviously having a crack tackle-wise. All the stats are the same, so it's just who's going to make the better use going forward.
Thanks for your time.
Lee, I've got to say I've been impressed with the unfashionable pairing, the two ruckmen for Hawthorn. I think they've done well tonight.
Yeah, we spoke earlier at quarter time about the importance of the clearances, and I think the Wade Skipper Renoff combination's done quite well against Ben Hudson and Will Minson, and that's going to be a factor this last quarter. Obviously, Will Minson looks like he's a bit sore, and it's going to be who can get their hands on the footy first from the stoppages that might just create the opportunities to score in this last quarter.
In that last term, they played Minson up forward. He seems to be favouring his left leg. Let's go to Bruce.
Good stuff, Dennis and Lee. Start of the last quarter. Deserves a big finish. Been a magnificent contest. Mitchell out of the centre, but ricochets off Hudson. And then Cooney building forward against Hodge. Grant getting down low was Mitchell. Well done, Grant. He's quick now. Johnson might use that pace. He does. Grant hooks back, does the team thing. Higgins sets himself, shielded the ball, did pretty well. Tries to get a handball to Griffin, can't. Held up, ball up.
Needless to say, first goal absolutely crucial tonight in this quarter, sorry.
Well, Bulldogs' biggest lead's been 7 points in this match. The biggest lead of the match was 12 by the Hawks, so any goal to the Dogs here would give them their biggest lead in such a tight scoring game. Cross went to ground, and I'm not sure where the ball is. Well, fetched out, Saul coming out, bursting clear. Bounce important, Burgoyne tapping to Muston. Muston looks up quickly, Lake's off the mark. Franklin can't quite get him. Lake, oh, he's a good player. It's been a wonderful contest. Handball by Picken. Picken really raised his level in the third quarter. Reid, Johnson, back with Murphy. And Murphy happy to see go over the line.
Brian, this has been obviously the contest tonight. What makes him so good is that he knows his limitations, he knows his strengths. His strength is obviously reading the ball off the plate, and knows that he doesn't need to get run around through the middle of the ground through probably a perceived lack of endurance. So plays to his strengths probably better than any other defender going around.
He's pretty quick off the mark too, which against Franklin is a good thing to have, isn't it?
He read that kick quicker off the Hawthorn boot than Franklin did. That's what he does as a defender, reads the kick.
He's not one of those armour cross type defenders, so he gives himself probably 1 or 2 metres leeway to give himself that chance to make those decisions off the boot.
Cross, looking for his mate in Boyd.
Holding his arm, Ryan Griffin's free. Ryan Griffin.
We saw Xavier Ellis try to get to Griffin before the ball was bounced, so he's running with Griffin. He was the man that Lee and Dennis talked about, Griffin and Cooney. Stratton, first season player, 12th game in succession, has been good. Short to Lewis, was a dangerous kick. Boyd, Lewis, well done, and that one ricochets away. It'll be a boundary throwing, touched on the way out.
They've certainly identified Hawthorn that Hall likes to get the ball on the movement upfield, and they've always got someone in his leading path. There's been, must have been half a dozen intercepted kicks in that regard.
Set for a big finish. Hudson hooks it down behind. Boyd playing in front. Hall. Birchall put the body in quickly to Hodge in desperate trouble. Spills wide. Mitchell met solidly by Cross. Tries to give it across to Ward. Ward picks it up, tackled immediately. And what about those two tacklers? On one side, Hodge, the other Mitchell. A gambling man would say, no way, Jose.
It's in this contested situation. I know it's in the pocket in a pretty tight area, but the side that can win these sort of contests is the side that's going to win the game.
Boyd, now was that above or below the knee? Umpire Farmer in perfect position, helping the boundary umpire out, I think, and the free kick will go Boyd's way. Coming off Renoff. So Matthew Boyd coming up for possession 31. The most on the ground goes short to Griffin, just opening up the angle by, well, I suppose 15 metres.
That was the only space that was available. There's about 30 players in that forward 50 that but all of a sudden it takes a really acute angle to a 45 degree.
Boy from South Adelaide lining up his side, leading by 5 to stretch it to 11. No, he's tugged it way too much. It's trying to come back, but holds its line eventually and goes through for a minor score. As they would say in the classics, a handy behind because a goal would tie it now for Hawthorn.
Kicked a magnificent goal earlier in this match. He's actually never kicked more than one goal at the MCG. Had a good chance there, and that would have been very handy. Still, they lead by a straight kick. Down the middle, Renoff.
Hand on your shoulder.
She's a
that's a good
big call, wasn't it? Because they were in.
They were in trouble.
So Birchall going forward. Murphy done some brilliant things tonight. Picken continuing to impress. Wood taking them on.
It's been impressive.
Very impressive. Johnson did that beautifully. And then Johnson's kick to the pocket. John Siracusa wanting the bounce. Good tackle. Gee, Grant is so quick. Bouncing it, hitting the post. Some very, very fast move of the youngster.
The forward four-way for the Bulldogs started at half-back with, we just see the attempt on goal. That's a great effort. Started with Bob Murphy. A couple of times he's looked like the half-forward. You can see that he's played a lot of footy across half-forward and playing that way across half-back.
Menson the lead from the Gillum kickoff. Cooney nudged out of it by Hodge, but it spills to Gilby, goes across the ground, standing his ground. Lewis could have almost got a free. Gathered by Higgins, feigns a hand pass, comes back on his right foot, goes looking for Hall, almost marked at Hall too. That was a big effort. Well done by Gillum, tackled there by Grant, over the top, Schoenmakers. And the umpire will ball it up about 25 metres out from the Bulldogs' attacking goal. Not everybody delirious with this umpiring performance tonight. Umpire Farmer bounces it down. Getting high was Boyd. Hacked out of there by Birchall towards the boundary line. Tapped towards that line again after it pulled up Guerra, and he gets it across.
Can I use some lateral thinking? The Doggies won their only premiership in 54, and the Hawks beat the Doggies in 61 in the grand final. And Julia Gillard was born in that same week of the 1961 grand final. Now, there you go. Renoff. I made all that up myself. Blake did brilliantly. On Franklin. And now Harbrow couldn't quite break the line. Hall did well and gets it to Ward. And Ward on the left foot. He's kicked the goal. And the Doggies get the big lead for them.
Oh, is that everything, Bruce?
It hit the post. All clear. Hit the post.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, I don't think everybody was on the same page on that.
I think Ward was, if you watch his reaction.
Clearly. So
Upfield, the midfield umpire.
Yeah, good call. So the Doggies still get their biggest lead of the match, but it's only 8 points.
I think the goal umpire was watching the feet there as the ball comes towards the boundary. Hodge under pressure. That's a pretty clever kick. He keeps it in, wanting it to bounce out, and it does, like an obedient dog. So a boundary throw in at the interchange gates. And this crowd now, not the biggest crowd on a Friday night, but gee, they've been lucky. They've witnessed a great game of football, and they're finding voice. Pretty cold night in Melbourne. I think the maximum forecast today was 12. Close to the line, Hodge again. He's got that Sharon well trained. Gains 15 metres. 62-54. The biggest margin at any stoppage, 6 points for the Dogs at quarter time. In fact, they've led at every break. Up goes Lewis, thumps at Goldwood. Picken falling to the ground, stolen away by Burgoyne. Burgoyne inside the forward 50, hooks it back towards the middle. Hargrave over the top, only as far as Roughhead, goes in and kicks the goal. 2 points the difference.
That third up, couple of really good third up hit-outs, wasn't it, by Lewis? It's one thing that normally pre-game teams are just reminded of which midfielder might jump for that third up hit-out. That created the space.
And Burgoyne's been very good at sharking those ones. Dogs dominated play and had the ball inside their forward 50 for so long, but shotgun down the other end, goal to the Hawks.
Just wonder those misses at the other end for the Dogs. They've kicked 3 behinds in this quarter. Hawthorn go inside, get a goal. They were 7-1 apiece, these two teams, and since then the Dogs have kicked 2-7 to 2-5. So Hawthorn back within that kick. He's had an interesting night, Burgoyne, hasn't he? I mean, not a lot of footy, but he's done his bit.
Thanks.
Seems to be building as the games he's played's going on, lacking a little bit of that zip, but knows his way around a contest.
It was an important touch before and kick inside. So 2 to Roughhead and 2 to Franklin.
First tackle.
And Dennis a couple of times has mentioned these big guys for Hawthorn. This one, Skipper played just 1 game in the last 2 years for the Dogs, and this is his 7th game this year for the Hawks, and he hasn't lost one yet. Bateman inside the 50. Muston goes back to Saw, has to be quick. He breaks a tackle, loads it up. Rioli's a chance. Couldn't quite. That was a terrific effort coming back against him by Wood. Just had a lovely feel for that, Wood, because that was danger, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was so close to giving away a free kick if he didn't play it with discipline, which he did.
Boundary thrown in the pocket then. Minson works in front, double fisted down. Only as far as Mitchell! And Mitchell snapped a goal! What a wonderful kick! Hawthorn in front.
Taking your chances.
Yeah, what the game's all about. That's just the defensive mechanisms have made it so hard for either side to set up goals. So it takes that freaky bit of individual space. All of a sudden, Mitchell is just given that 5 metre space. The ball comes in his direction. That's I think Bulldogs would be thinking pretty sloppy defence.
Just watch the stoppage there, and you see Sam Mitchell is such a good clearance player and stoppage player. You wonder how he can be left alone inside the forward 50 like that. Too much space, and sure, it was on the boundary line, but he's got the job done, and Rocket would be absolutely livid about that.
So the captain puts the Hawks in front.
No, he tried to kick it, my ball.
If he keeps kicking those, he'll be the spiritual one.
Who is the spiritual one?
I think Hodge, isn't he? But they're both great leaders, there's no question about that. They're beauties, the two of them. Where have you been for the last month?
That's right.
Cross belting forward. Then Osborne. Back to Burgoyne. Now Young. In a good spot for him. Such a hard run of Bateman, isn't he? He's missed 4 of the last 6 weeks with suspension, Bateman, but running hard here. Getting around Ward. Deciding to go as long as he can. And Roughhead front spot, Lewis. Brilliantly read. But he's in the right spot. Not tonight. Oh, Dennis, I tried to give it to you. I didn't have time.
His glasses down up here. I reckon we all thought he was just going to thread that one through. Bit of
a sense of deja vu.
It's the haircut. He's lost his balance.
That's the first time he would have got. Well, no, he kicked there. That ran into the open goal, but mostly Lake has just made sure he can never get goal side because he knows he's in trouble if that happens.
He's had his moments tonight. It's been an enthralling duel with Brian Lake. Meantime, Hudson out of defence. Kicks it outside the defensive 50. Boyd in from the side, almost the mark. Tracks his own ball. Runs to the 50. Kicks to midfield. Jan Syracuse been lively. Goes to ground. Over the top is Murphy. Almost holding the ball against Jan Syracuse. Reed on the deck. Tries to hand pass across towards Hargrave. Paddled out of the pack there by Hodge. In goes Mitchell, head down. Taken front on by Minson. A pretty ugly pack. And the umpire will ball it up alongside the centre circles. Terrific Friday night game. 4 points the difference. Hawthorn on top.
Minson, Burgoyne, and then Skipper getting it about 30 metres forward. Roughhead got caught underneath. Morris did well. Hodge on Lake brought the big fella down. And then Gilby's handball to Wood. Coughed it up. Osborne, the second tackler. Wood gets back in the tackle with Hargrave, I think.
Just saw how precise you really have to be. That handball from Gilby to Wood was just about half a metre behind. Had it been in his front, we just see there, he just had to reach back behind his right side. Would have been away otherwise.
Hudson, good tap. Griffin couldn't quite. Lewis, Saul, Hall putting the pressure on him, so Barry up the ground, trying to impose himself. Gilby on the burst.
Gilby with runners outside. Hargrave's got it now, looks inside the forward 50, demanding something of Johnson. Gets to the half volley, Jono, in trouble. Slips it away to Higgins, to Murphy. Murphy 60 metres from goal. Minson on the move. Vacant goal square, spots that. But Murphy is wide of the mark. Behind, 3 points the difference, and still an eternity to play.
Now, Hall did come up the ground. I've got to say, we did a bit on the two big forwards, but the key defenders have taken the honours to this point of the game, and no doubt both ends.
We're up, taking plenty of time, told to play on. Drives it outside the 50, pushing the back. That was careless by Lewis. Well, he looks honest enough. A look of bewilderment, but the replay does him in. Come on. None of that, Jordan.
The free kick set there, you see the Bulldogs and the Hawks, and the Bulldogs actually give away the least in the competition, the Hawks the most, so the numbers stacking up tonight.
Well done by Stratton, but it comes wide of the pack to Murphy, and Murphy did brilliantly. With the outside of the boot, he's put his side back in front.
Got a feeling that Murphy's actually gone into the forward half. He had to find a way to try and score because, again, Hall is not doing it on Gillum. He's done well off half-back Murphy, but needs just some bit of goal scoring creativity. He's the one they've turned to.
Knows his way around the forward line. I think a couple of years ago he led the competition in marks, so I reckon that hit-up mark, but just as adept at ground level.
Been an important play, Murphy, pushing forward in this last quarter.
What about Minson? This is terrific.
Good knock.
Play on.
So Cooney winning it. Back to Cross. Good effort by Cross there. Stopped and checked himself. Here is Murphy. Well, he may be the match winner. He's a lovely long kick. He decides to come wide. He's got a couple of options. Ward, 55 metres out. Running hard, popping it up to full forward. Hawks have got the numbers. Sean Makers, down to you, Tim.
In the last minute, the Doggies have gone really small in their forward line. Hall came off the ground, Minson came off the ground, so they're just testing this back six for Hawthorn again.
Margin 4 points then. Weira gathers the footy, gathers his thoughts. And a little frustrated. Good zone. Played by the Bulldogs, who tries to kick over it now. It's still 2-on-1 at the fall of the ball. Bateman hit the crumb hard into the path of Hodge. Releases a man in Burgoyne. Burgoyne goes down towards half forward. Arriving at the football is Young if he can keep it in. Well, he kept it in, but he was shoveled across the boundary unceremoniously. The ball came to a complete halt. And Young may have been a bit stiff there. Boundary throw in right on the 50. Bulldogs lead it by 4. 70 plays 66. Tossed in. Clean possession to Hudson. Only as far as Mitchell.
So he's been off the pack a couple of times. Mitchell hasn't in the clearances. And now Birchall back inside 50. Franklin and Lake both set themselves. Cooney, hurried kick. Griffin, good effort by Ellis that time. Boundary throw in.
We marvel at Buddy Franklin, the work he does, and that's The one thing that's missing is that the ball comes in a long contest. We see his cramping, obviously covers the ground very well, but just that real clunk pack mark.
The jig jump.
So Hudson has taken the ball out of the air a lot tonight. Mitchell's so important in this last quarter. Down, getting the ball out. Cooney's toe poke, gets to Saul, to Franklin. Saul's in heavy traffic. Franklin brilliantly done. 50 metres out in the right pocket. A chance, not quite. That would have been something. Marked by Gilby. Out he goes to the paddock. I think for the rest of our life, Dennis, every time he gets into that spot, we are going to get excited.
Well, the hit's on you, Bruce. Just show me that football. I'll show you how to hold it. Ball comes inside the 50 and the mark is taken by Roughhead. So back come the Hawks. The goal here, and they will lead. He's got a couple, Jared Roughhead. Well, he's in his natural habitat, but just for the moment. He's offline. A couple of opportunities in this quarter. Meanwhile, Roughhead, 52 metres out. Long kick, but misses to the near side. Behind. What a good game it's been.
Been some better signs from Roughhead. I think he's attacked the ball well and taken a few strong marks, but something just awry.
Well, let's see the runner take that message out and be politic. There's the kick from Gilby towards the outer side. Helped on its way out there by Morris. Loose ball, Johnson picks it up, scrambles it forward. Coming up to meet it there was Stratton. Gee, I like this young man.
Yeah.
Stratton dives after the football. Locked in though by Grant. It came out the back door. Johnson. Quick hands across to Murphy. Murphy drives looking for Harbrow. What about the skill here? Harbrow, Rioli. Rioli did him cold. Rioli hand passes to Ellis. Swings it out wide to Hodge. Hodge over the top. Young, can he run it like Franklin? Decides to kick instead. Inside the forward 50. Muston works hard on Gilby. Goes back, finds the loose ball. Picken found him, and the ball is out of bounds.
Well, you often say to your players, every contest might determine the result of the game. That's the way you've got to play it. And that's what's happening tonight. Like any one of these contests could be the one that determines the winner.
Hudson and Reniff. Ellis, back. Hodge, got down low, goes back. Oh, yeah. The spiritual one puts them back in front.
He's done it all tonight. I might have been a bit facetious with you, Bruce, before when I played dumb. I didn't know who the spiritual one was.
I can read you. Don't you worry.
It's been a great contest. When actually when Cooney's tried to take the match up in the second half, I think he's had less influence on the game, but just was able to shrug the Cooney tackle, and don't think he was ever going to miss the goal.
Nah. Rest him up now, bring him on for the last.
Lee, what do you think of Hodgie as a footballer?
Oh, I think he's a wonderful player, and the influence he has on the game is more than what he just does himself. That's the mark of the sort of the great example setters.
Sort of bloke you'd love in the change rooms before the game, wouldn't you?
Oh, he need to be pretty good value, just full stop.
He's played a game tonight, hasn't he? So have a lot of other blokes out there. Rioli, well done. Burgoyne's been okay. Mitchell's been brilliant. Schoenmaker's handball to space. Murphy, back to Bateman. Bateman, cute kick, danger. Osborne, well done. Hargrave, he was up for it. And then belts it forward. Dogs have got numbers here. Can they work their way through? Higgins is a good finisher. Decided to go to Grant. He wasn't ready. Birchall gets Higgins. Johnson's handball back. Stratton gets a finger in there. On the up.
Great
Terrific
defense
by Gillam. Well done. And the Hawks get out of jail.
There's Peterson. And not again. Reed. More pain. Right shoulder this time. Kick to midfield meantime. Taken by Lewis. Lewis looks down towards half forward. Outnumbered is Roughhead, but he got the break. Roughhead forward at the wing. Kicks down towards the 50. Storming up the ground is Franklin. Reaching over the top off balance was Lake. Sliding in for the loose ball, Peterson. Out of bounds.
Oh, he's through on them, buddy. Missed, but through one.
Two of the modern day greats. They're not happy with each other. We're happy to be watching. Boundary throw in. Rioli goes high, taps it down. Boyd, 1 go, 2 goes. Moved it about 2 metres through all of that. Minson kicks it up towards the wing. Gillum takes the mark and decides, like an elder statesman, to slow it down. Gillum will go for distance, kicks inside the forward 50. Franklin won't get to the contest. Boyd goes back, takes the mark.
A lot of strong, mature bodies out there, aren't there? Boyd, one of them.
You think who's going to get the run? Who's actually got the puff to be able to get into space on one of these rebounds?
Cross, so courageous going back. May have been for Murphy. Cross took the footy. Now to Murphy. Been a real factor. There's Mitchell. Brilliant again.
Spiritual, you might say, Bruce.
They've got 2 of them. They're lucky. Renouf back to Mitchell. Franklin on the lead. Down the line, good kick. Gets to Rioli. Now, he's got a brilliant football brain. How does he work? He's not 15. Puts Bateman in a position. Bateman, clever kick. Oh, Osborne back to Bateman on the back foot. Decides to go with a long one. Ruffhead. Yes, Ruffhead.
It's the one thing when Morris can't compete. When he gets the front position and jumps and reaches, that's when Morris is just too short.
He hasn't been good with set shots this year. He's about 14 goals, 18. And that was awful.
What a lot of people don't appreciate about Jared Ruffhead is how agile and nimble and quick he is. He's got explosive legs and can obviously launch at the ball. And you're right, Lee, I think if he can get the ball at the highest point, Morris is in trouble.
Here's Johnson, running it up to half-back. Still going, Johnson. Wanted to shepherd, wanted to kick in the end. Run down by Rioli. Now, was he held too long? No advantage. Rioli will get the free kick. Johnson comes up limping. Tried to do a little too much. Rioli just across the ground. Now, Young is dangerous here. He's a long kick. Runs to 50. Puts it towards the square and beyond. Big leap at the back from Renouf. It falls in front. Hargrave to the outer side wing. This will be interesting. Hahn leads back. Gets boot to ball. Close to the boundary line. Out it goes. Just under 5 minutes to go.
One of the things the Dogs said at the start of the year, they wanted a hardened edge. And they're certainly showing that now. Well, he's clever enough to miss, buddy, I reckon. Minson. There's a bit of the Muhammad Ali's about him, isn't there?
Is that a defence of the tribunal?
I'm sure he won't call me up. Hahn to Harbrow. Terrific tackle. Rioli picks it up and then goes to Franklin. Well, the really great players kick these.
Yeah. It's been a great. He's had 16 possessions, Franklin, but really it's the goal-scoring ones are the critical ones, and this is the third of them. He's nailed his other 2 shots at goal. He usually kicks the ball a little bit from right to left in its flight, which doesn't really suit this side of the ground.
You're right there still.
Can the champion kick the goal that'll probably win them the match?
That's done it.
Going and going. You betcha. You buddy beauty! Gee.
And I think as the players are resettling at the centre bounce, Lake's actually gone to the other end. Now he has to go forward and see if he can be the getter to win the game. So that is a rolling the dice that probably is necessary late in the game by Rodney Eade.
It's not just technique here, Lee. I reckon it's temperament.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I'll get a look at it here.
Just get the feeling too, this is a real test now for the Western Bulldogs. There's a certain fragility about them in a tight finish. We saw that against the Saints on Friday Night Football. And Buddy, just celebrating, suddenly finds himself on the deck, and maybe...
They'll look at it, no doubt, they'll look at it.
So Lake now is on the forward line for the Dogs. There's still time enough to win it. 3.5 minutes. 79 plays 70. Another goal and, well, it's on again. But the Hawks just a goal away from maybe clinching it. Cross out of the middle. Floats one down towards half forward. They're virtually stationary down there. Griffin had it knocked away by Ellis. Finds it on the ground. Smothered by Birchall. It comes back to him. Slips a hand pass to Rioli. Quicksilver. Untidy hand pass though. Paddling the ball in front, Schoenmakers. Standing his ground, Hargrave. In goes Mitchell. Well done, Hargrave. Gave it to Cooney. Cooney the long ball. Up goes Lake. Down in front, Stratton. Picked up by Gillam. Will they hold at least in the short term? And they've got runners to this side of the ground. Osman to Hodge. Actually, he can run down some clock here. He's got himself a convoy. Goes in short to Birchall. Birchall just forward of the wing. Back to Hodge. Hodge across the ground to Rioli. And effectively, they've milked the clock for about 40 seconds.
It's been terrific, Rioli, over 20 disposals, and when he gets over 20, they're big numbers because he uses it so well.
Luke Hodge actually just asking what time, how long to go. He asked the bench, how long have we got? Long enough to get a few more kicks.
Tim's not far from there. He went down to the bench and put his hand on his wrist. So Murphy. Well, Hawthorn attempting a 7th consecutive win. Now, Geelong did that earlier. That was broken last week by the Saints. This would equal the biggest streak so far this season. And this is a body blow if the Bulldogs go down from a top 4 point of view for them.
Absolutely. They would go to 8 wins apiece. So all of a sudden, Hawthorn are top 4 and Bulldogs have dropped off a bit.
So Roughhead, Hahn from the side.
What's been impressive about the Hawks in this last quarter in particular is Franklin, Mitchell, Hodge, Rioli, Roughhead all standing up. They're their top liners. They're the ones who are producing in the dying minutes of a really important game, and that is crucially important for club morale.
Hawthorn by 9 points. Hooked down behind by Cross. Opening up the space for Cooney. Goes across the ground. Stealing a march on his opponent is Higgins. Gathers the football. Goes back to Hargrave. Hargrave, a thumping kick inside the forward 50. Ball is outnumbered. Got hands to it. Almost the mark. Spills across towards Griffin. U-turn. Hurriedly kicks it down towards full forward. Up comes Stratton. Tackled brilliantly by Gian Siracusa. In goes Harbrow on Guerra. In the back, says the umpire. And Guerra gets the free kick.
Such an important ball to be won there, wasn't it? I mean, there's still time for the Dogs, but you feel like that was a vital win by Guerra. And now with Roughhead with the ball, less than a minute to go, it's Hawthorn's to lose, and you just don't think they're going to do it. Roughhead kicks to centre wing. Franklin, well done, Grant. Must move it quickly. What's 50 against Buddy?
Oh.
Sums it up.
I still don't quite... He was off the line, and I guess he was... well, he's had problems with set shots. That's a terrific kick. This game certainly has a pulse, very much alive. Well, there'll be some irony there, wouldn't there, if Franklin's 50-metre penalty cost them.
It'll be interesting to see how Hawthorn played this. They got 3 points. They're 3 points in front. They know there's 30 seconds to go. I suspect they'll just put a whole lot of guys into their back half because Bulldogs need the goal, which they've done. They've actually gone with a 2-man forward line as the centre bounce is setting up. And the Bulldogs shouldn't have any spare defenders. They've got to get equal numbers forward and take the role.
What would you tell them, Lee, right now if you're coaching the
Well, you can't tell anyone. All Hawthorn are going to do is try and win the contest and maintain possession if they can get a set kick disposal.
The Bulldogs do have 2 spare defenders at the moment, although as I speak they're running forward. The equation is simple, 30 seconds to go. They've got to get it out of here, and they do. Cooney gives it across to Picken. Picken kicks inside the forward 50, will almost knocked away by Guerra. Clock continues to run. Higgins in his hip pocket. Guerra and Higgins, it spills behind a Lake, missed the footy. Roughhead close to the boundary line. We're down to 9 seconds. Clock will stop at 7. We've got a boundary throw in close to the interchange gates. It needs clean ball, long kick and a mark.
Boyd gets that ball. Wood bends his back, goes long, as the siren sounds. And we've just seen the best game of the season here on a Friday night. They're the best victories, the hard-fought ones, aren't they?
It was interesting, Andrew. No, Alistair Clarkson has been coaching for the interchange bench. He was out on the ground to celebrate with the praise. Now he thinks better of it. He's sort of wandering off, but yeah, that's a great win by the horse. A great win.
Luke Hodge ran to be with his mates next. He cramped up when he took off, so he played his heart out. As you said, Bruce, I think it is the game of the year so far. An absolute cracker.
It's the third time here at the MCG they've won by less than a goal in the 7-week streak. Down to you, Tim.
Well, Sam, I'm here with the captain, Sam Mitchell. What a game. What a win.
Yeah, it was neck and neck. We just felt like we couldn't get in front the whole night, but in front when it counted, so we'll take the points.
And, I mean, it was a great goal from you in the last quarter, but a brilliant smother.
Oh, a couple of things, I'm not sure, but I think Hodgie's goal was probably the one that was the important one, and Franco, they finished when it counts.
7 in a row. Is this the best of them all?
Yeah, it probably is. I guess the latest one always feels the best, but, you know, they've beaten us the last couple of times, so good to get over the top of a really quality side like the Bulldogs.
And you've really found something defensively too as a team.
Yeah, that's been the focus. You know, I think our tackle stats have been right up there, and, you know, teams are stopping us running through the corridor and all that side of things, so we thought, you know, tackling's going to be the way to get back into this season. It's working for us.
Well done. It was a great win.
Yeah, thanks.
Due to some battered bodies, aren't they? We see Reid there. We saw Johnson hobbling a moment ago. There's Alistair Clarkson. There was 64 wins, 64 losses coming into tonight. 50% on the nose with 128. Puts his head in front. Premiership coach. And if you didn't think the Hawks were going to be a player in 2010, think again.
And that game could have gone either way, but I thought tonight was almost the best I've seen the Hawks play the last season and a half. I mean, they were really solid tonight. I mean, Franklin kicked his 3 goals. Roughhead didn't do much, but their team structures and their solidarity earned them the victory against a very good opponent.
Let's go back to Tim.
I'm here with Luke Hodge, and Luke, you like it tougher. That's about as physical as it gets as far as footy goes.
Oh, we expect that playing the Doggies. Look, after we played them early in the year, it was a good, hard contest, and we expected nothing less, and it was just good to get over the line.
That belief that you showed a couple of years ago as a team, it's really back now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I think it was just, we got a bit of confidence after the last couple of weeks, and we just, I think, especially after the break, we come back fresh, and we're expecting a hard game, as I said. It was just great to get over the line.
I know you found it tough. You actually left the game late with a cramp. You okay?
Yeah, fine. I was just couldn't run out the game. It was a bit frustrating, but yeah, it was just I'll be resting up tonight, I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, a couple of tackles were made on you. I reckon the toughest one you might have received tonight was from the coach, Al Clarkson, when he came on the ground late there.
Yeah, he got me. I don't know where he come from, but anyway.
Well done.
Thanks, mate.
A buzz around this famous stadium. Friday night football. Fantastic contest. We thought so coming in. It had plenty of appeal, and so it proved. Hawthorn improved their record to 8-6. The Bulldogs, dare we say it, slumped to 8-6. The margin tonight, 3 points. The final scoreline, Hawthorn 12-7-79. Western Bulldogs 11-10, 76. This has been Friday Night Football.
This has been a Fox Sports presentation.
This program brought